morning. Good morning. We are up. I am trying to get these other updates out. All right. Good morning. Good morning. 5 hours of court, 2 hours of sidebar. Oh, Lord. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. Wait, we have birthdays today. I remember it from yesterday. Mama T. And is it Tarika? Do I have this right? Let's update the banner here. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Just copy these maybe. One, I really don't, if a lot of us were here to see Dr. Laposada, right? I don't think that's a fight that the state wants. And to be honest, I actually agree with the state. They need time to prepare for her. That ain't just normal situation. Not only that, okay, not only that, why does it seem like it's up or something? Not only that, we have if you didn't see it, and shout out to Miss, I was gonna put it in the chat, but I was nervous. Where is that? That's gonna get you to do. Lady L Poe had a whole link yesterday and it was holding out on us, y'all. But the news it hit the internet, but we could have watched it during the break yesterday. That Judge Sullivan, our judge for Lindsay Clancy, had one of his cases overturned by the Supreme things. Okay. And overturning. Good morning, Cairo. Why do I feel like I haven't heard from Cairo in a minute now? Chaz, you've been holding my baby away from us. And yesterday I heard Harper's name, and I hadn't heard Harper's name in a good minute. Y'all gonna quit not giving me an update on my kids now. Yes, happy birthday, Mama T. Yes. Come on. So good morning. So this case that was overturned of Judge Sullivan's was because the kind of what we learned about Linda Sturmer, you got to let the experts in, you got to let the evidence in. And apparently Judge Sullivan did not allow in some information that would have had to do with mental health with Miss Latasha Sanders. So that case was overturned. Now, on the heels what? Oh, Mondays. Okay. On the heels of her medical records. So on the heels of after Linda Sturmer, let it all in. I'm not saying let it all in because not let it all, but let it in, right? If they have records, if they have evidence, if they have experts, if they have doctors, if whatever it is that they need to prove their case or disprove the other case, let it in. As long as it's not harmful, hindering, helpful, unlawful, let it in. Because if don't nobody know nothing else, they should look at Linda Sturmer. Linda Sturmer should be the red light. That should be the warning signal. Her face should flash like the bat signal when somebody getting ready to not allow something in. I'm just saying, I'm not saying you got to allow everything in. I'm not saying lose your discretion. I'm not saying be bullied by it. But Linda Sturmer taught us a whole lot. Linda Sturmer's case dealt with experts. Latarsha's has to do with, what you say, medical records, evidence. If it could have changed a juror's mind, not everything, right? Because some things would have, I mean, just blow you out the water, right? Had those jurors known about Lori Daybell's kids, she wouldn't have stood a chance in that trial. But at the end of the day, even withholding that evidence about her previous cases, she still couldn't run from what was Lori Daybell, right? Linda Sturmer, at the end of the day, she was guilty as hell, okay? But by not allowing her expert in, they had to go back through the motions to show she was guilty as hell again. But in the meantime, the folks that she had traumatized and tormented, she got back out. She lived her life. She was out free for a while. She did she get remarried, or she had a boo thing? She got out there and started living her best life right in the face of all the folks after she took her husband out. You know, be careful. She was married. And that man was down there like he was co-counsel. Like, sir, you ain't scared to marry a woman that took out her husband? She was out for years, just gallivanting, all in front of her family. All in front of them kids after them kids knew good and well she had took their daddy out. Virgo, let me tell you something. This woman put something in her husband's drink, made him fall asleep, set him ablaze. You hear me? Took the whole house out. Somehow, with everything melting off of him, he made it, and drugged, he made it up out of that house. Okay? I mean, the best hot dog you ever had at a cookout. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Makes it up out the house. And she ran him over with a van and then backed back over him. And he still wasn't gone. Okay? Then she had asked to have an expert on arson. Okay? Jennifer, you know what that hot dog looked like on the best one on the 4th of July with the baked beans on top. You know what I'm talking about. Okay? Because I can't say it the way I'm saying. Then, if that wasn't bad enough, Linda had spent all the money, was sneaky linking with somebody from work, had then took a loan out in her friend's name and ain't make none of the payments. She had, just was acting a fool on everybody in the town, okay? But what she did was, while her husband was laying there sleep, before she set him ablaze, she sent all of her kids to the movies. And now they had a tradition where they did not leave the house without hugging and kissing their dad and telling him goodbye. And this particular morning, their mom would not let them say goodbye to their dad. And when I say those kids never forget it, these kids were grown and married with their own kids. And they were like, Linda told me, did not call that woman mom, the woman formerly known as mom. When I say that DA called every one of her kids to talk about her like a dog, her nephews that she had took in as kids was calling her Linda and calling the deceased man dad. They bought her sneaky link up there, and he got on there telling all the business about how she was sneaking and having her friends sit in the car while she was laying it low and spreading it wide in the house. And no evidence against Linda. Against Linda because the judge did not allow.
Yes, Your Honor, before the court today, we have the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay
Let's turn it up.
Clancy is present. She is
Didn't allow an arson expert. They overturned her case, and she was out for years.
District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
All right. Well, good morning, counsel. Hi, good morning, Ms. Clancy. All right, counsel, can I see it sidebar?
I knew he was getting ready to do that. Yeah, Linda was guilty as hell. Linda. Haley, y'all know Linda took us through it. Linda, and her case was real boring for about 3-4 days. Then all of a sudden, all Linda business started hitting. I said, Linda, all Linda business. Linda was acting up, okay? Whole town was like, You know, when people do things and they have a free spirit, some people may call them a hoe or something like that. They were calling her the town whore. Okay. Whore. Okay. We can have a couple hoes, but when you're a whore, okay, it's woo. Them people didn't like her. Them people told all her business. Chaz wasn't the teeth falling. We couldn't even. Listen, I think I had choked on Pepsi. One morning, I had spit my coffee. Linda was out here living her best life. Then we saw a man that we thought was co-counsel the whole damn trial, and it was her husband. I said, "Can you marry her? Do you see what she do to husbands, baby?" Linda had took that man credit card and went and filled up the gas cans. That man was out there building houses. That man was out there. Listen, she took that man out. Spent all his money on horses they couldn't afford. Linda was trying to look like she was head of the debutantes or something, and it was not working. Haley, you didn't watch it? You had to have watched that one with us. It was in Michigan. Linda Sturmer. We watched it while we were watching. We were watching 2 cases at once at that time. We was acting real crazy. We act like we didn't need no sleep that time.
All right, jurors entering.
Linda was a mess. Linda business. They threw all Linda business in the street. Hard. Okay. Oh. We were doing like 12-hour days. Yeah, we had lost our mind then. We had lost our good mind then. But it was worth it. We couldn't stop. We said we were just going to watch it to keep us entertained while the other trial was off or out or on break. When they start dropping the key.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice, Superior Court now sitting in Plymouth, and before the Commonwealth. Draw near and give your attendance.
It was a new book. It might have been a new book.
Save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
We couldn't stop after that.
Please be seated.
We were too invested.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I
We were
proceed?
too.
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have a continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
Bo.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, everyone.
ADA
So what
Bo.
I'm going to do is probably expect, I'm going to ask you those questions to make sure everybody's able to follow my instructions. I'll go a little bit into our schedule, and then we'll return to the evidence on this case. So first question, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source that would affect your ability to be a fair and impartial juror in this case?
while he's doing that, Key, I'm gonna tell you who it was. And I kept saying that it was probably people said Fran Drescher from The Nanny, but I think it was the lady from Designing Women.
The again, as I always say, I hesitate to give you the schedule because I'm, probably 50% right, 50% wrong. But the intention today, the thought is we'll probably go most of today. All right. And then at the end of the day, before I send you home, I'm going to talk to the lawyers, kind of see what the schedule is for next week so you can plan as best you can. And also kind of see where we are in regards to the timeline and the estimate of the case. So I'll try and give you as much of that information today before I send you home. All right. So with that, we'll return to the case on trial. Commonwealth, call your next witness, please.
Commonwealth would call Kimberly Hardy. Witness today.
This cameraman is real petty. You did not have to stop on that bow. You did not. I'll see what kind of day this is going to be.
Morning. Stop right there. Where's my next question?
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury, the matter now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant class, will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may have a seat.
Watch your step, please.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up as best you can and speak into that microphone, okay?
Okay.
That's good. All right.
Thank
Come
you.
on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury, spelling your first and last name for the record?
It is Kimberly Hardy, KimberleeHardy.
And what city or state do you currently live in?
Cypress, Texas.
And back in 2023, where did you live?
Brockton, Massachusetts.
And in 2023, where did you work?
Kingsbury Club
Where is the Kingsbury Club?
in Kingston.
And how long did you work for that club?
4 years.
What is the Kingsbury Club?
It is a tennis club, but it also has like a gym. It's kind of like a Y where people can come and drop their kids off in the playroom and stuff like that.
Is it a private facility?
Yes.
So members only.
Yes.
And you mentioned dropping kids off. What was your role at the Kingsbury Club?
So I was the child service director. So I ran all the kids programming and the playroom.
So what is the playroom at the Kingsbury Club?
So the playroom is a room where parents can drop their kids off for 2 hours a day so that they can work out.
And what's the procedure when a parent or a guardian drops a child off at the playroom?
We have our system where we sign them in.
And that's something on the computer that logs when the child comes in?
Yes.
And it also logs when the child leaves, correct?
Yes.
Now, what's the protocol for who can drop off and pick up a child at the playroom?
So parents, usually we say whoever drops off should be the one picking up as well, unless the parent notifies us that another parent will be picking up.
And as far as that system that you have to log the drop off and pickup, fair to say that system is geared towards the guardian who drops off and picks up.
Correct.
So it's a separate log for each child based on who the guardian is.
Yes.
Now, what is the security like at the Kingsbury Club? How do you get into the club?
Oh, you sign in. You have a key fob and you go to the front desk and you'll sign in.
Good morning.
Are you familiar with some members using like a scan app to
Yes.
sign in? And as far as where the playroom is
You
in
gotta
the club,
sit her
where is it
everywhere.
in relation to kind of when you come in the front doors?
It is right to the right. There is a long hallway, and at the end of the hallway, that's the playroom.
Now, is there kind of a rule there at the Kingsbury Club when you drop your child at the playroom that you have to remain on property?
Yes.
And other than the gym and the tennis courts, what other facilities are on property?
We have a pool and a spa.
I'm going to draw your attention to, one more background question.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that there's other programs that the Kingsbury Club runs for children, right?
Mhm.
And you as the child service director were involved in that.
Yes.
Is there a particular age that the children can start participating in the other group activities?
camp starts at 5, and at that point too, we had tennis that started at 5, but swim lessons can start from babies.
Okay, and so is there an age limit to the kids that could be in the playroom at any given point?
Typically, we only take 3 months old up to like age 10. Normally, they don't want to be in there.
And then you said that the time limit is 2 hours per day.
Yes.
Is there a schedule or sign up in advance, or was there one in 2023 if a member wanted to bring their kid into the playroom?
Yes, but in 2023, parents normally didn't sign up in advance because we were just getting back from COVID and we had low numbers. So we just took walk-ins.
And it was a first come, first serve?
Yes.
Are you familiar, or were you familiar with Cora and Dawson Clancy?
Yes.
Did you often see them in the playroom at the Kingsbury Club?
Yes.
And who would be the party that would drop them off and pick them up?
Mainly Patrick.
Did you, or were you present in the playroom when Lindsay Clancy at times dropped them off and picked them up?
Yes.
And when Lindsay Clancy came to drop off and pick up the children, did you interact with her?
Yes.
And how would you describe her demeanor during those interactions?
She just seemed very shy.
Maybe just to focus on the time frame.
Well, that's fair. I'm going to draw your attention to maybe the September of 2022 to January of 2023, that fall into the winter. Did you see Lindsay Clancy drop the kids off at the playroom during that time period?
Yes.
And you had the occasion to interact with her? And during that time period, in the fall to winter, what were your observations of her demeanor?
She just seemed shy. She was just, we'd come in and pick up. I would usually try to start a conversation with her, but nothing else. Yeah, just shy.
Okay. And it was only Cora and Dawson that came to the playroom?
Correct.
Were you aware that there was a third child?
Yes.
And do you know of any reason why that child didn't come with the other two?
I asked a couple times because I said that he can come in because he's over 3 months. And the answer was because they were scared of sickness.
I'm sorry, what was the objection? The answer was, you could just find out.
So this conversation that you had when you said you asked about Callan, was that with Lindsay or Patrick?
Lindsay.
Okay. And so what did she tell you about Callan?
She was nervous about colds because it was cold and flu season.
Okay. And so obviously when Cora and Dawson came, there would be other children in the playroom as well,
But if
right?
the other kids got sick, they would just take it home and get the house fixed. So
When
what were you doing?
Lindsay would
Drop
drop
other
the kids off during this time period between September of 2022 and January of 2023, did she ever tell you what her plans were at the club?
No.
Did you see or make observations of how she was dressed when she dropped them off?
Yeah, she had workout outfits on.
And would she come back before the end of that 2 hours to pick the kids up?
Yes.
Did you notice anything different about her when she came back to pick the kids up during this time frame?
No.
Was she ever late picking them up?
No.
Did you ever learn that she had left the property after bringing them to the playroom?
No.
And that is a very strict rule at the club, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall the last time that you saw Lindsay Clancy and Cora and Dawson at the Kingsbury Club?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when that was?
In January.
Would it have been closer to New Year's or a few weeks into the month?
I think it was a few weeks in.
And how is it that you remember them on that particular day?
Just their usual selves. They came in, played, nothing.
If I tell you that Cora and Dawson were dropped off by Lindsay on January 13th at 9:07, does that sound right to you? And that they were also dropped off on January 17th at 9:30 a.m. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Did Cora and Dawson usually come in the mornings
Yes.
around that time? And what time does the playroom open?
We open at 8.
And what time does it close?
It closes at 2.
Did you ever have occasion to see Cora and Dawson in the playroom during that time, September to January, later in the afternoon?
Sometimes, not usual.
Is it fair to say that generally when Lindsay dropped them off, they came in the morning?
Yes.
And is there anything about that day with Cora, that last day that you saw her, that sticks out in your mind?
Not that I recall.
What kinds of things would the kids do in the playroom?
Paula, this
They
is
like to color. They would
she
play
worked
with
at the
the
Kingsbury
dolls, dress
Club,
up toys,
the
the
gym.
cars.
He was part of the
the train
playroom or
set.
daycare services.
And on one of those last days that you saw Cora, did she draw a picture?
Yes,
Did she take it with her or did she give it to you?
she left it.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move to admit the Kingsbury Club records as the next exhibit.
All right, they may be admitted.
Exhibit 218.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, counsel.
Morning.
Good morning.
So you saw Lindsay with her children, dropping them off, picking them up on a fairly regular basis. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Patrick, of course, right?
Yes.
Did you ever see how she acted around them? Did she appear to be, happy to be with them and take care of them? Or did she appear to be angry with them or at all?
No, never angry. She seemed happy to be with them. She always picked up on time, and they were always excited to see her.
And you certainly weren't close enough to her to know if she had any personal issues in her life as far as her mind or her body or anything like that, right?
No.
You would be aware, though, that on occasion people are advised by their doctors or psychiatrists to exercise. It might be a good thing for them to do. Is that?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, thank you.
Thank you. You may step down. Thank you. All right, Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth would call Sarah Carney, please.
Didn't we hear from Sarah's husband yesterday? Why are we going back into the friends?
Good morning, ma'am. Stop right there. Raise your right hand.
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give is truthful to the court, and that you are in the matter of You may have a seat, ma'am.
Watch your step, please.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, counsel.
Thank you. Good morning.
morning.
Could you please tell the jurors your first and last name?
Ooh,
Sure,
Brittany,
Sarah
you
Carney.
scared
How
Matt.
do you spell your first name?
Sarah,
And the last name?
Carney.
And what city or town do you live in?
Duxbury, Massachusetts.
And are you married?
Yes.
And who's your husband?
Kyle Carney.
And do you have children?
Yes.
How old are your children?
5 and 2.
Do you know the Clancy family?
Yes.
And how do you know them?
Went to school with Pat and then met Lindsay later.
And so when you say you went to school with Pat, fair to say you went to Salve?
Yes.
And did you know Pat before school?
No.
And did you become friends with him in school?
Yes.
When you graduated from college, did you remain friends with Patrick?
Yes.
And is your husband also a friend of Patrick's?
Yes.
Did they meet at college or just someplace else?
In college.
At some point, did you come to know Lindsay Clancy?
Yes.
And do you remember approximately when you were introduced to her?
A few years after college, maybe 12, 13 years ago.
And where were you living then when you first met her?
Boston?
Okay, how about Pat? Was he living in Boston as well?
I believe so.
And what was your relationship like with Patrick after college? Were you close?
Yes, friends. Close.
And as he began a relationship with Lindsay, did you become friendly with her?
Yeah.
Did you have that same relationship with Lindsay that you had with Pat?
No.
Of course not.
As time passed on, did your families remain friendly?
Yes.
And eventually, both your families ended up living in the same town in Duxbury, correct?
Yes.
What was the relationship like between your families starting in 2019?
Close, friendly, went to the beach together, had them over at our house, went to their house, that kind of thing.
And as the Clancys start having children and you started having children, did that remain throughout?
Yeah, probably fewer times just because we're all busy, but yeah.
And were you around after each of the Clancy children were born? Meaning after Cora was born, you were still part of Patrick's life?
Yeah.
Did you notice any changes in Lindsay after Cora was born?
No.
And how about Dawson? When Dawson came along, did you notice any changes in Lindsay after Dawson was born?
No.
And then Callan, who was born in May of 2022, were you still friendly with them and still doing those trips and going to each other's houses,
Yep.
beach trips?
Yep.
So did you notice anything different about Lindsay after Callan was born?
No.
Do you recall observing Lindsay or seeing Lindsay when she was pregnant with Callan?
Yes.
Fair to say she was a pretty active person.
Yes.
And even in pregnancy, being very pregnant, she was physically active.
Yes.
Do you recall what kind of exercise she did or seeing her exercise or?
I remember her posting videos of her exercising and the kids were in the background.
And where would the exercising happen? Could you tell where it was in their house?
I'm not sure.
Have you been inside their house before?
Yes.
So you know that they had the living room area on the first floor and basement area was
Have to
finished.
assume it was the living room. I've never been to the basement.
Okay, so in that video, what did you observe the kids doing in the background?
Playing on the couch, playing with toys.
And when you observed this video, fair to say it was kind of like a beach body type exercise?
Sure. I'm not sure what that means.
Did you see any equipment in the video, like workout equipment?
I don't recall.
Do you recall previously indicating that you saw the kids playing with exercise bands in the videos?
Sure, if that's what I said. I don't recall.
Now, I'm drawing your attention to the summer of 2022 and the fall of 2022. Were you still going to the beach and getting together with the Clancys?
I believe so, yes.
Other than going to the beach, what other kinds of activities would you invite them to do with your family?
They probably came over to our house once or twice.
Throughout the course of the fall of 2022, did you notice any changes in Lindsay's physical health?
I think I saw her one time at drop off and she just seemed thinner, more
She
frail.
seemed, I'm sorry.
Thinner.
Okay. Did you ever have a conversation with her at drop off about your observations?
No.
How about just observing her overall demeanor? Did you notice anything change about her in the fall into the winter of 2022?
No.
Did you ever have any conversations with her about postpartum depression or sleep issues?
No.
And I'm going to draw your attention to January 22nd, 2023. That was a weekend. Do you recall that weekend?
Yes.
And did you have something happening at your house that your family invited the Clancys to?
Yes, we had a bonfire.
And who came from the Clancy family to the bonfire?
Pat, Lindsay, Cora, and Dawson.
Where was Callan, if you know?
At home with Lindsay's parents.
Did you have the occasion to speak with Lindsay on that day?
Yes.
And fair to say, prior to that day, you hadn't really seen her much that winter.
Correct.
Were you happy to see her that day?
Yeah.
And what were your observations of her that day, her demeanor? Did she seem normal or off or?
Just quiet, but fairly normal.
Did you have the occasion to speak with her, just you and her?
Yes.
And was that outside at the bonfire or somewhere else in your house?
In the kitchen.
And did you ask her anything?
I was talking to her about my daughter's allergies, and then the conversation lulled and I asked her how she was doing.
And what did she tell you?
Good.
And did you have any further conversation or ask any follow-up questions?
No.
Why didn't you follow up?
Because I figured if she wanted to explain or dive into it, she would. Wasn't going to press her.
And but on this occasion, she just said fine, and you kind of moved on to the next topic.
Yes.
And throughout the course of that day or that afternoon that you were with her, did you notice anything change about how she was communicating with you? Like, did she start to talk faster or seem confused in any way?
No.
Was there anything that happened at that interaction that made them abruptly leave?
No, I think it was like nap time for the kids.
And was that the last time you saw or talked to Lindsay?
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
All right. Mr. Reddington?
Morning. So, what was the time frame that you knew Lindsay, not Patrick? I know you were very friendly with Patrick.
Yep.
What was the time frame that you knew Lindsay?
12 years.
And would you say that you were close to her, or were you social, or how?
Social.
Social.
Yep.
And on occasion, you had the opportunity to be in their house, the upstairs portion of it that you indicated, never in the basement or the office area, right?
Right, just the kitchen level.
Okay. Can you tell us, like in the fall of 22, approximately how many times you and your husband, Kyle, saw Lindsay and her husband, Pat, together? Not Kyle with Pat or you with Pat.
I think it was just the one time at drop off.
One time at drop off. Okay. You had occasion to ask her advice about the babies and things of that nature on occasion, did
Yep.
you not?
Yep.
She was always helpful to you or forthcoming?
Yes.
And this, the last time you saw her on January 22nd, this was a bonfire, is that what it was?
Yep.
And that was where, in your backyard?
In our backyard.
Was it in the daytime or the nighttime?
Around lunchtime.
Lunchtime. And do you recall how long they were there for the bonfire?
A few hours.
And they were there with the two older kids, and Callan was home with her parents, right?
Yes.
And she appeared to be quiet to you?
Yes.
And she appeared, to your observation, around that time frame to be thinner than what you had seen before.
Yes.
But you'd agree with me that you guys weren't that close that she would confide in you, correct?
Correct.
That's all I have. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Any redirect?
As far as your observations of Lindsay over the course of 12 years, fair to say she was always quiet with you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth would call Aaliyah Goodhart.
Why?
Stop right there, raise your right hand to the clerk.
Good afternoon. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give in the court and the jury, no matter how many between Commonwealth and the defendant, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And you may have a seat.
Watch your step, please.
All right, good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
All right, I'm going to ask you, when you sit down, if you speak loudly so the jury can hear you and speak into that microphone. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Counsel.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please tell the jury your first and last name?
My first name is Alia. Last name is Goodhart.
Can you spell your first name for the record?
Alia.
And your last name, please.
Goodhert.
And what do you do for work?
I'm a psychiatrist.
And can you tell us a little bit about your educational background to be a psychiatrist?
I got my medical degree from the State University of New York in Brooklyn, the Health Sciences Center, and I came to
What you
Boston
say,
to do
Jenny?
my
Bring on the
4-year
doctors.
residency at the Harvard Longwood Psychiatry Residency Program. I also trained for an additional 3 years at the Boston Psychoanalytic Institute and got my advanced training I attended the advanced training program, and yeah.
Are you licensed here in Massachusetts to practice as a psychiatrist?
I am.
Are you licensed in any other states?
No.
So you said that you're a medical doctor with a specialization in psychiatry, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work history in that field?
Yes. I've worked in several different settings. When I first started out, I was working at Beth Israel in integrated care, which means essentially that you work with primary care physicians, and if they have patients that they have questions about, they can consult you. And if there's a need, you can continue to manage the patient's psychopharm medications. And if it's simple, they can continue to do it, but you're available for them to consult with and to discuss cases. After that, I went to Emerson Hospital, where I worked on the inpatient psychiatric unit for a total of 9 years. I left for 1 year to be the medical director at another freestanding hospital. After that, I worked at the women's prison in Framingham for 1.5 years. And after that, an outpatient clinic affiliated with Tufts. I had a private practice for 2 years, and then I've been working at McLean for the last 5 years.
Okay. And what is McLean Hospital?
It's a freestanding psychiatric hospital that is part of the Mass General Brigham system.
What kind of services does that facility offer to patients?
They have, lots of services, including inpatient, outpatient, substance abuse, trauma-focused. There are lots of specializations, eating disorder programs. They have residential programs. They have partial programs. So there's a really broad width of.
And what is your role at McLean?
I work on one of the inpatient psychiatric units.
And tell us a little bit about what an inpatient psychiatric unit is.
Patients who come to our unit are referred to us by the emergency department because it's been determined that they need inpatient level of care. You can come voluntarily, or you can be sent involuntarily. And once you arrive, we work with the patient until they're for a certain period of time, which isn't predetermined. It is flexible, so it depends on what's going on. And when you're on an inpatient unit, it's not just that you're seeing the psychiatrist, you're working as a team. So there are nurses, there are mental health workers, there are social workers. And the way it works at McLean is that every day you have a meeting where people discuss what's been going on, and you share any information that you have, and that kind of guides treatment. It's if I'm on the unit while I see the patient, I'm not there 24/7, but the mental health staff and the nursing staff are there, and they contribute to the assessment of the patient.
So in that team approach, when you have mental health workers, nurses, social workers that work with you, there's, fair to say, some combination of that team present all the time.
Yes, there are 3 shifts, and each shift has mental health workers and nurses.
And in that team approach, sometimes particular members of that team may have direct contact with the patient, correct?
Absolutely. Each shift, each patient is assigned a mental health worker and a nurse. They're offered a check-in, which is basically time to sit and talk about how they're doing and what's going on and if they're upset or distressed. And so, there is documentation of that, and that happens on a regular basis.
And even when members of the particular treatment team don't have direct contact with a patient, they're still there and observing what's going on, right?
Correct.
And are they trained to do that?
Absolutely.
And so even if they don't have a conversation with somebody that's documented, they're still observing to be able to report back if there's any concerns that they observe during any given shift. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that the inpatient unit at McLean, that they come from the ER departments of the surrounding hospitals?
Yes.
So you can't just walk in?
Not at McLean.
For the inpatient, in any?
Right, correct.
Okay. And so oftentimes when a patient comes from the emergency department or is referred over there, how do they get there?
They have to be sent on a Section 12 most of the time. Well, then it doesn't make sense. So they're usually sent on a Section 12, especially if they're going to be sent in an ambulance. And then when they arrive at McLean, they are seen at the CEC, which is the Clinical Evaluation Center.
If I could just stop for you for one second. Can you tell us what a Section 12 is?
Section 12 is basically a doctor or social worker or psychologist states that you are being referred to a hospital for admission because you have a mental health condition.
And the Section 12 could be something that the patient voluntarily elects to do, right?
That's a Section 10. The Section 12 is it means that you have to go there. If you go there and they evaluate that you're fine and you decide you don't want to be at the hospital, you can choose to leave and they'll have to let you go.
So when you say that a person comes transported from an ER on a Section 12, they also can come transported on a 10 as well, a voluntary?
A Section 12 is required for transportation because in the time between when they leave the hospital and they're supposed to get to you, you want to make sure that something could happen and then they could leave. So you want to make sure that the physician sees them at that end and then somebody sees them at the other end to ensure that something hasn't changed. So it's evaluation.
Okay. And at the emergency department, there is a particular type of evaluation that's done before somebody is sent over to McLean, correct?
Correct.
From the Mass General, what is that usually referred to?
It's called the acute psychiatric consultation, APS. No. So the service is acute psychiatric services, and it's an evaluation. So it's a complete evaluation by either a nurse practitioner or a psychiatrist. And they go over things like, why are you coming now? What is your history? Have you ever had problems before? What's your family history? They document how you're presenting. They inquire about symptoms. And that's how they find out what medications you're on. And then based on that, they decide whether you need, there could be several options. They can recommend inpatient treatment. They can recommend partial hospital program, but the patient doesn't have to do either. If they're not, unsafe, they can choose to leave. But most of the time, people take the recommendation and they've presented because they are seeking help.
And unless the patient is deemed unsafe in that involuntary realm, it's their choice.
Correct.
Now, you mentioned that when they come to McLean, that they first come through and have a CEC. What is that?
It's a clinical evaluation center.
What happens at that stage at McLean? They're
seen by a psychiatrist, and there's a nurse as well. They review the history that was obtained at the emergency department, and they inquire about they actually do another evaluation, just like at the APS, basically reviewing all the history, but also asking their own questions. And if they have any concerns, they document them there.
And you said this evaluation is done by a psychiatrist?
Correct.
And when a person comes into McLean, can they come at any hour of the day or night?
Correct.
And when they first make it to the clinical evaluation center, they're always seen by a psychiatrist.
Yes.
Now, once they do this evaluation, gather all the information, do they also do kind of a physical exam to make sure that there's no medical issues to address?
Yes.
And after all the information is gathered, what is done at the evaluation center?
So they basically enter the order. May I have some water, please?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
No worries.
Oh, yeah, my fault.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. When a patient is evaluated or seen in the clinical evaluation center, what happens after the evaluation's done?
So they determine the level of checks that the patient should be on once they get to the unit, because there are several units. There are at least 4 inpatient units. They decide what medications the patient is going to be able to get, thank you, until they are seen by a psychiatrist on the unit.
And when you say level of check, what does that mean?
Everybody who is on the unit, there's a mental health worker assigned the task of ensuring that
So this
all the
is
patients
McLean,
who are supposed to be on the unit are
where
present
Patrick said
and
coloring
that
and
they're
playing with Play-Doh.
safe. And the lowest level is 15-minute checks. If there's concern about somebody, it goes up to 5-minute checks. And if they're extremely unsafe, it goes to a 1-to-1.
And what does 1-to-1 mean?
There would be a staff person with the patient at all times.
And again, this determination of which unit to be on and what level of security or what level of check is done by the psychiatrist that performs that first evaluation, correct? Now, when a person who comes through the CEC then gets sent to the unit, do they walk to the unit on their own, or how do they get to the unit?
They're escorted to the unit.
And you said there's 4 inpatient psych units, is that what?
Correct.
Now, when the person arrives at the unit, what happens?
They're seen by a nurse and a mental health worker. Their belongings they go through the belongings to ensure that there's nothing unsafe. There's certain things that are not allowed on a psych unit. The nurse reviews their history and takes some vital signs, sees if they need any medication, and then they show them to the unit.
And again, people come through the CEC at all hours of the day and night, correct?
Yes.
So this whole process is pretty seamless and could happen at any point.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned previously that the length of stay or how long a person is on the unit or inpatient varies, right?
Yes.
Is there any sort of minimum that's required when a person?
No, this is not where Lindsay is now. This is when Lindsay went to, remember they said she went on New Year's Eve and they went to the emergency room. And at the emergency room, they planned for her to go to the locked facility where she would be evaluated. And this was right in between the time right before. And then she ended up signing herself out or in some way, either released or signing herself out, either on time or a day early, depending on who testified, for Cora's birthday party. So this is that hospital that she went to from the ER. This is going to McLean Hospital, where it was a locked facility. This is where she basically committed herself. Before, this is that time between December 31st and Cora's birthday party. I think she left here about January 5th. This is where Patrick said every time he talked to her, the only thing, and he went to visit her maybe once or twice, he said the only thing they were doing was watching TV and playing with Play-Doh. Okay, so we're not to her doctors yet. This is leading up to the tragedy still.
Comes in for an inpatient stay at McLean?
No.
And if they are voluntarily there, can they leave at any time?
As long as the psychiatrist and the team assesses them and determines that they don't pose an imminent risk to themselves or anybody else.
Now, what if they're there on a Section 12? Is there a time limit or a minimum amount of time they have to be there?
She wasn't there on Section 12. She was on a voluntary.
We haven't gotten there yet. I'm just asking background questions about the facility.
I'll allow some background questions, but let's kind of move it along.
So Section 12 entails that that the team and the psychiatrist has 3 days to evaluate the patient to determine whether they pose a danger to themselves or others. And if at the end of that time they do determine that the person poses a risk, then they have to apply for commitment, which would mean going in front of a judge who would decide if the patient should remain hospitalized or be discharged.
And if at the end of the 3 days you deem them to be safe, are they allowed to leave?
Yes.
And is there something in the field of psychiatry or in your training and experience in your time at McLean about being discharged against medical advice?
He wasn't discharged AMA.
We'll allow the set the really the terms and where we are, so you can go into that.
AMA is not applicable.
If we can approach.
Yeah, I don't think you heard me.
I did hear you.
All right, well then, I'm going to allow that question. There, your rights are saved.
My objection.
Yeah, I've noted it. Go ahead.
Damn.
Thank you.
I think we tend not to do against medical advice, because if we are concerned about somebody's safety, we would not discharge them.
So you have another procedure available to you if you were concerned for somebody's safety.
Yes.
And that's this procedure you described about seeking
In
order for further commitment.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Now, when a person comes and goes through that process and is placed on their unit and settled in, what is the plan after that? How often do they see providers?
They're assessed by a psychiatrist every single day that they're there. They have nurses who are checking in with them, mental health workers. They're offered group programming and medical monitoring, vital signs. Yeah.
What types of group programming are offered to people while they're inpatient at McLean?
We offer skills groups, which are things like they're meant to teach patients skills so that they can tolerate distress, they can kind of observe their thoughts. It's meant to shore up their skills. Then there are some groups which are more just relaxed, I guess, such as going for fresh air walks or going to the recreation center, just drawing or coloring, and yeah.
And are there other things offered to patients once they're on a unit to assist them in their care, like counseling?
Yeah, those are the check-ins, and when they meet with the psychiatrist and the social worker, the counseling happens in those sessions as well, and also by the nurses and the mental health staff.
Okay. Now, does this procedure, or how it operates for any given patient, does it change if there's a holiday or a weekend?
I think they're still seen. They're still seen by a psychiatrist.
She's thinking, if she knows, I have no objection. I'm going to object to the way she's answering that.
All right. Why don't you rephrase the question?
I will, thank you. As far as your experience at McLean Hospital, is there, does the schedule change when there's a weekend or a holiday?
The group schedule might change, but the staffing schedule doesn't change.
So the availability and the mental health worker that sees the patient, the social worker that checks in, and the psychiatrist and nurse, the team all stays the same even on a weekend or a holiday?
Other than the social worker.
Okay. And when I say stay the same, it could be different individuals, but
Correct.
It's somebody from that group, correct?
Yes.
So as far as your role as a psychiatrist, how do you get assigned patients when they are admitted to McLean inpatient?
It's random. There are beds that are open, and I carry a certain number of patients, and other psychiatrists have a certain number of patients, and whoever has an opening gets the admission.
Do you have to be there when the patient is admitted to have the patient assigned to you?
No.
And so do you rely on other psychiatrists to perform those tasks before you meet a patient?
Yes.
I'm going to draw your attention to a particular patient by the name of Lindsay Clancy that arrived at McLean in the early morning hours of January 1st of 2023. Do you recall that patient?
Yes.
Have you had the ability to review the records related to that patient prior to coming in today?
Yes.
And do you know where she came from?
The emergency department at MGH.
Okay. And did she come voluntarily, or did she come on some sort of section?
Again, for transportation, it's always a section, but then she signed in voluntarily, which is the section 10.
Okay. So to your knowledge, she was brought in the early morning hours via ambulance?
Correct.
And did she go through that process of the clinical evaluation center in the early morning hours, approximately 4 a.m. on the 1st?
Yes.
And who saw her there?
I think the psychiatrist's name was Dr. Outlaw.
Okay. And you're familiar with Dr. Jasmine Outlaw?
I've never met her.
Okay. But she is a psychiatrist on
Correct.
staff.
I don't know what you mean by on staff.
Well, she works at McLean.
Correct.
And so you were able to review the information she gathered in that first evaluation.
Yes.
And in reviewing that information, did you identify that the patient was identified as medically stable, right? Meaning she didn't have any acute medical issues that you had to worry about?
Correct.
And she was screened on the suicide screening?
Correct.
What was the chief complaint of the patient when she arrived at McLean?
She was unhappy. She was finding it hard to sleep if she didn't take medications.
Okay. And do you recall reviewing in the records that it was noted that she reported that she felt numb?
Yes.
And that she was having some issues managing medication?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, that she had some complaints about side effects or symptoms of medication?
Yes.
Now, when the psychiatrist and the clinical evaluation center gathered the information, fair to say that it's primarily based on what's reported to the doctor by the patient?
Yes.
At McLean, do you have access to a patient's full psychiatric history or all of their records from other places?
It depends where the patient is coming from. I think that Dr. Outlaw did take an excerpt of the APS evaluation that was done at MGH, so I assume that she had access to that.
I'm sorry. Assumptions? Like,
I mean,
I
she
can ask
would have
it a
had.
different way.
She doesn't know, she doesn't know.
Yeah.
All right.
As far as the full record of this particular patient that you were assigned to and responsible for, you reviewed all of the notes and information gathered by Dr. Outlaw on that first interaction with the patient, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated a little while ago in your testimony that McLean is affiliated with the Brigham
Correct.
Hospital and Mass General. So is it fair to say that those records from Mass General are available to you at McLean?
Yes.
And again, you indicated that that APS evaluation is something that's done at the emergency room, right?
Yes.
And is it common that that information come along with the patient?
I don't know.
No, good. Just if you could answer that. You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, next question.
In this instance, when you reviewed the records, were you aware or did you see that there was some note to the APS evaluation from the Mass General ER?
I saw the excerpt of the APS evaluation in Dr. Outlaw's note.
Okay. And that excerpt from the APS evaluation was conducted by somebody by the name of Dr. Hogan, correct?
Correct.
And did you review a portion of the record indicating that the patient said to Dr. Hogan or reported thoughts of wishing to be dead, but no plan,
Yes.
and that there was no violent or homicidal ideation, right?
Yes.
And that was observed at Mass General to have no evidence of psychosis, mania, obsessions, or current anxiety symptoms.
Correct.
So that's information that you knew before you met with the patient.
Yes.
And as far as what's reported when the patient comes to McLean, and in this instance, when Lindsay Clancy came, are you aware she reported during that clinical evaluation center evaluation that at the beginning of December, she had started Seroquel and Remeron and started to have intrusive and suicidal thoughts?
Yes.
That she attributed that to medication?
Yes.
Okay, and so what was the plan, the first plan that came out of that clinical evaluation center evaluation of Ms. Clancy?
She was continued on the medications she was admitted on. You know, the plan, they do the checks, they decide what medical monitoring you need, but she basically was admitted and the
Okay.
medications were the same.
And what was the security level, or how long were the checks assigned to her after this evaluation?
Now, what good
15
damn
minutes.
sense did that make?
And was she considered to be a high risk upon coming into the inpatient unit, or was she minimal risk?
Low. Minimal, yeah.
And were you aware of what's called the provisional diagnosis that was assigned to this patient when she arrived?
I don't recall what the provisional diagnosis was, but I do know that they do assign a diagnosis. I don't recall it. I must have seen it in the records, but I think there are like 5 different diagnoses.
Just referring to what's already been marked as Exhibit 79, I'm going to draw your attention to page 24.
Thank you. Right. Okay, I think I remember. Yes,
Okay, does that refresh your memory as to the provisional diagnosis?
yes.
And what was it?
Major depressive disorder, severe without psychotic features.
Now, what does the provisional diagnosis mean to you when you're assigned a patient?
That this is the assessment of the psychiatrist who saw her at that time.
Do you have to stick with that diagnosis, or are you free to change that based on your experiences with the patient?
The diagnosis I give the patient is dependent on what my interactions are and the observations of the team.
Now, for this particular patient, Ms. Clancy, on January 1st, when she got situated onto the unit after that first evaluation by Dr. Outlaw, are you aware that she was then seen later in that day on January 1st?
Yes,
And were you the doctor who saw her, or was there somebody else?
it was a different psychiatrist.
Okay, and who was the psychiatrist that saw her on January 1st?
It was Dr. Madva.
And that would be Dr. Elizabeth Madva?
Correct.
Again, is she a psychiatrist as well?
Yes,
And so this occurred while you were not in the hospital, right?
yes,
And were you able to review the notes, the admission notes of Dr. Madva regarding her interactions with this patient on January 1st at approximately 12:47 p.m.?
yes.
And again, as far as these interactions go with the patient and the psychiatrist, it's more of a conversation, right?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, it's a conversation when you meet with a patient.
Yes,
You ask them how they're feeling, get
it's
information that you think is necessary. Is that fair to say?
a conversation, and also you gather information.
And so do you rely on things that were reported before?
Yes,
But you also ask follow-up questions, right?
correct.
And as far as your review of Dr. Madva's interaction with Ms. Clancy on January 1st, is it clear to you that she did that?
Yes,
You reviewed her history with her and spoke with her about how she was feeling.
Yes.
At the time she spoke with Dr. Madhva, you where she said that she denied feeling depressed and denied any passive death wishes or suicidal thoughts, but reports feeling numb.
Yes.
She reports she can't feel any emotion other than mild anxiety at now being in a hospital setting.
Yes.
After Ms. Clancy was seen by Dr. Madhva, were you aware of what the plan was regarding her medication?
Yes.
And what was the plan?
Ms. Clancy complained, there were several symptoms. One of the things that she did complain about was the numbness, and Dr. Madhva did, hear that and hear her concern, and that she had been sensitive to many different medications. So she
Well, let me ask, if I can ask a question.
You finished with your answer?
So she determined that it was possible that the numbness the patient was complaining of was a side effect of the medication she was on. And the plan was to taper that medication and observe the patient to see whether the numbness went away, and also if any other symptoms became evident.
So the medications, you were aware of the medications that Ms. Clancy came into McLean on, right?
Yes.
And what medications were those?
Seroquel at 100 milligrams a day, at a Valium, 2 milligrams. I don't remember the frequency. I think it was per day. And
Again, we're going to let her finish.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I have no problem. She looks at the record.
Yeah.
so Seroquel, Valium, and Benadryl.
Do you remember or do you recall Remeron being one of the drugs that were described or reported by Ms. Clancy when she came in, that she reported taking Remeron?
In the past, yes.
Okay. And again, in that report from the patient about past history, do you recall her indicating that one of the providers had suspected a bipolar disorder?
Yes.
In your interactions with Ms. Clancy and your review of the interaction she had with other psychiatrists, did she appear to agree with that diagnosis?
Did
If you
who
know.
appear to agree?
Ms. Clancy.
Rephrase that question, please.
Ms. Clancy, did
Yes.
she disagreed with the diagnosis?
Okay. The fact that she came in and she was on 100 milligrams of Seroquel or more, would that have been something that was significant to you in considering a bipolar diagnosis?
Seroquel is used for several purposes. It is not just used for bipolar illness.
Okay. And Ms. Clancy also reported coming to McLean issues with insomnia, correct?
Yes.
Is Seroquel sometimes used in low doses to address insomnia?
Yes.
Now, as far as the plan from January 1st, you indicated that Dr. Madhva recommended reducing the Seroquel and then monitoring symptoms, correct?
Yes.
Were you aware that Ms. Clancy saw Dr. Madhva again on January 2nd?
Yes.
And again, that was prior to your first point of contact with her.
Yes.
As far as what you know from reviewing the record, you aware that that Ms. Clancy reported that she slept well on lesser dose of Seroquel.
Yes.
Did she report any delusions, hallucinations, or suicidal or homicidal ideation?
No.
And as far as after the check-in with Dr. Madhva on the 2nd, was the plan to continue to decrease the Seroquel?
Dr. Madhva was going to continue her on 75 milligrams, and then the next day she would have gone down to 50 milligrams.
And on these first few days that Lindsay Clancy was at McLean Hospital from January 1st until you actually saw her on January 3rd, you're aware that in addition to seeing Dr. Outlaw at the intake and Dr. Madhva on 2 occasions on the 1st and the 2nd, that there were also notes in the record for you to review from nurses who interacted with her on January 1st at 5:20
Lindsay was
a.m., right?
assigned to this
Yes.
doctor.
From nurse January
From
1st at
jump.
6:28 a.m.
Yes.
A nurse interacting with her on January 1st at 10:34 a.m.
Yes.
And that she actually participated in a group activity with a social worker at 12:03 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And that a nurse interacted with her and made notes at 2:07 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And that she saw a mental health worker at 9:33 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And in relation to January 2nd, a nurse made note of interaction with her on 9:46 on the 2nd, right?
I remember there were interactions. I don't remember the exact time.
But fair to say on the 2nd, she interacted with nurses and Dr. Madhva,
Yes.
based on your review. Now, going to January 3rd, that was the first face-to-face contact you had with the patient, correct?
Yes.
Prior to meeting with her, had you reviewed all of these notes and all of the information up to that date?
Yes.
And did you go through
Yes,
again,
the little
a
mom.
report
The
of
judge
history
in
with her?
Reddington got into
Yes.
it.
Were you able to make an assessment of her mental status during that interaction with her?
Yes.
And what were your observations of her mental status?
I can't, I can remember certain elements, but I don't remember. She was dressed in, she was appropriately dressed. Her speech was of normal rate and volume. Behaviorally, she was polite and cooperative. Her mood, I don't remember exactly. It's a quote, so I don't remember exactly what she quoted her mood as being. You could, it would be in the medical record.
Yeah, one moment.
That's what the husband said, but they read in notes
Just gonna
that
approach, if that's okay.
she was actually seen, because he also said she wasn't seen till like the 3rd.
Yes.
All right, so those records you'll have.
She wasn't seen by the doctor she was assigned to till the 3rd, but she saw other doctors.
Pages 61 through
So this is
66.
about her stay at McLean.
Nope, if you can just take a look at that and let me know.
You're welcome. Good morning. Little mama, every time I see your name, I always think of, what you know about me? What you know about me? Because my lip gloss is cool. My lip gloss is popping.
As to what your observations were of her mood.
Yes.
What was her mood?
Anxious.
Bingo, Daniela.
And did you observe signs of anxiety, or did she tell you that she felt anxious?
She appeared anxious.
And her affect, did you observe it to be congruent to her mood?
Yes.
And you examined her and found her to have linear thinking and appear goal-directed, right?
Yes.
And as far as addressing kind of why she was there and what your recommendations were, ultimately, what were you trying to address or accomplish in the treatment plan with Ms. Clancy?
That's a very broad question.
Okay, I could break it down if that's okay.
Yes.
So as far as once you had a chance to sit and talk with her, what did she identify to you to be her main concerns that she wanted to address during her stay at McLean?
She did not want to be dependent on an antipsychotic medication, which is what
baby.
Seroquel class is, even though it's used for insomnia and other indications, depression. She didn't want to be dependent on Seroquel to be able to fall asleep.
Okay, and so fair to say she was very concerned about wanting to sleep at night.
Yes,
And she was very concerned about her symptomology, or what she was experiencing by way of symptoms from various medications, right?
yes,
And that concept, or the phrase numbness, did she use that a few times?
yes,
And again, you
Yeah,
mentioned
we
Dr.
all find
Mago was
that
concerned about the numbness with the medication. In your experience with Seroquel, is that also a common side effect for people to feel numb?
it can be one of the side effects that people can have.
And as far as the suicidal statements that you were aware of from the prior reports, did you go through that with her about whether she presented to you with suicidal ideation?
Can you ask me that again?
Sure. Did you talk to her about her thoughts of suicide?
Yes,
And did you talk to her about whether she had any specific plan?
yes,
Did she have any plan?
no,
Had she reported that she had ever had a plan for suicide?
no.
And did she tell you there were reasons why she thought she wouldn't commit suicide?
Yes,
And what were those reasons?
her children and her family.
So after this face-to-face interaction with her and kind of going through her history and having reviewed what you had, the information you had about her, what did you develop as a plan for her while she was at McLean?
I continued with the plan to taper her off Seroquel and to monitor whether her symptoms improved, but also to see if she could sleep while she was off of Seroquel. And to really observe symptoms and mood.
During this first interaction with her, was there any conversation about how long she would stay or what her plan might be after she left McLean?
When we met the first time, Lindsay said that she had her daughter's birthday coming up on the weekend, and that it had been planned months ahead of that date, and she was hoping that she could be there that weekend so she could be with the kids and family who was going to come for the birthday party.
Now, the concept of kind of tapering her off the Seroquel and monitoring her symptoms, did that seem like a realistic goal to you?
Yes.
And now, after having spoken to her and developing this plan, were you also cognizant or thinking about the potential for a bipolar disorder diagnosis? And so how did that affect how you approached
She
this
disagreed
plan
with
to
that
taper?
diagnosis.
Again, we were observing for any symptoms that would indicate that she might have bipolar disorder.
And where she had reported that she had issues with sleep, was that also something of concern to you if there was the potential for a bipolar disorder?
Yes.
And reduction of medication, what was the concern for the sleep?
I think people's mental health is negatively affected if they cannot sleep, whether it's bipolar disorder or depression. And so sleep is important.
Okay, and so a person that you might be considering for a bipolar diagnosis with lack of sleep make you watch for symptoms of hypomania.
Yes, sleep deprivation can lead to a bipolar episode, a hypomanic manic episode.
So you wanted to monitor her patterns in her sleep and her mood to see if there was any evidence of that, correct?
Yes.
In this first
Okay, we
interaction
need
where
to
you
talk about. Didn't they say she
identified
might have been on something in nursing school.
a plan, did you also make a suggestion about a particular medication that
Hairdresser, her
she might
nail
consider
nail
after the
lady.
Seroquel
You know everything.
had been discontinued?
Yes.
What was the alternative medication, if you will?
It was Cymbalta, which is an antidepressant.
And was that something that you intended to prescribe for her while she was there, or was it something that you suggested that she could consider as an outpatient?
It was just a consideration. It would depend on how she was doing after she was off of the Seroquel.
Now, what about the Valium? Was there a plan to address tapering or weaning her off Valium or an alternative to Valium?
Yes, I switched her from Valium to Ativan.
Okay.
Because it has a shorter half-life. And, you know, in my experience, it manages anxiety well.
And were you aware that she had taken Ativan before?
Yes.
And did she report any concerns about Ativan or benzodiazepines in general?
Yes.
What was the concern she reported to you?
She stated that her husband had concerns about her being on a benzodiazepine.
During this interaction with her on the January 3rd, did you observe any signs of psychosis?
No.
And in the notes and the interactions with the providers prior to your meeting between January 1st and January 3rd, did anyone ever note any symptoms or concerns for psychosis?
No.
And you're aware that Ms. Clancy was also still in that, what was considered the postpartum period, right? She had had a child in May of 2022.
That's a tricky question to answer because different organizations or agencies assign postpartum a different length of time.
Okay, and so in your training experience and your experience as a
Reddington,
person who
about to act with that one.
Yes.
Did you consider postpartum as part of what you had to figure out here with this patient, or was it really not a consideration?
It was.
Okay, and why was it for you?
I mean, she had a child, and the risk of postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis is a serious consideration.
Okay. Now, after this first meeting with Ms. Clancy on the 3rd, were you able to give her, in your own opinion, a diagnosis?
Yes.
And what was that?
You said after the 3rd?
Right.
Okay, so that would mean one meeting.
Yes.
I gave her a diagnosis of insomnia with a mental health condition because one day of observation wasn't sufficient for me to figure out if she truly, to give a solid diagnosis because it sticks with the patient.
Right. Fair to say you just didn't have enough information at that point.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
So letting her leave 2 days later couldn't have been enough information.
So again, you saw her on January 3rd, and that was approximately 9:15 a.m., right?
If that's what it says. Yeah.
Well, at the top of your inpatient progress note on page 61 of the exhibit, if I say the data service reads 1/3/23 at 9:15, would that be where you would note the time you were scheduled to speak with the patient?
Yes,
Okay. And you're aware that on that same day, on January 3rd, that in addition to meeting with you, that she met with a social worker at 10:07 a.m., right?
yes, the social worker and I would have met with her together.
Okay. But then the social worker would have their own note if there was any interaction that they were noting, and also a nurse as well,
Yes,
right? And that on the 3rd, that Ms. Clancy participated in a group at 12:02 p.m., correct?
yes,
And engaged with a mental health worker at 12:22 p.m., right?
I do know that she engaged with the mental health worker. The times are
Okay.
not something I recall.
If I indicate that the records show she did
Yes.
another group at 2:36 p.m., would that sound right?
Yes,
That she then declined a group at 3:50 p.m.
yes,
and then saw another mental health worker in the evening before presumably she went to bed 8:52 p.m.
yes.
Did you see her on January 4th?
Yes,
And so again, is this the same protocol? You meet, you talk, you discuss. Did you talk to her about how the previous night's sleep went?
yes.
And how was that night's sleep?
She reported sleeping well.
Well,
I don't remember the exact words, but she said she slept. And
okay. And do you remember having a conversation with her again on that day, January 4th, about going home?
yes.
And what did she say about that?
Originally, I think we were thinking, we had talked about discharge on Friday, and she stated that she was anxious being in the hospital, and that she wanted to be discharged so she could be home with her family and her children.
And so did she ask to leave earlier than Friday?
Yes.
And when she asked to leave earlier than Friday, what was your response to that?
Whenever I said she could leave provided she had psychiatric follow-up the next day.
And why did you do that?
I wanted to ensure that if she wasn't able to sleep that night after discharge, that she could speak with somebody about it so that they could come up with a plan to ensure she could sleep and to monitor how she was doing off the medication.
And was there a kind of a secondary reason that you had asked that she make sure she make an appointment before discharge?
Yes, it was also to assess whether she could think clearly and follow directions and get it together. We asked her to set up the appointment herself, and she was able to do that. She responded within an hour. She told the social worker that she had gotten an appointment, and the social worker had asked her for a fax number so that we could we could send the discharge summary, and she provided the fax number as well.
And now on this day that you had met her on January 4th, she reported that she slept well. Do you recall what dose of Seroquel she was down to at that point? Had she reached 0?
On which day?
On the 4th, when you saw her.
I'd have to walk myself through this. So I know she was on 75 milligrams the night of the 1st, 75 milligrams the night of the 2nd. On the night of the 3rd, we decreased it to 50 milligrams. On the night of the 4th, she would have been on 25 milligrams.
Okay. And fair to say that on the 4th, your plan was to continue to taper her so that she would be at 0 for Seroquel, take no Seroquel on Thursday night, right?
Correct.
And that she would be restarted on Ativan, and that she'd have the trazodone available if she needed it.
She was already on Ativan during her admission and was taking it at night. She also had trazodone which is which is a sleep medication. It has sedating properties, so it can be used for sleep. So yes, she had the option to take that as well.
And so did you have a concern about her leaving on Thursday, the 5th, without having monitored her at no Seroquel?
Paul about to
I
get
did
up
not
like
have
pow,
any
pow. Okay.
Concerns about her safety or a risk for anybody else.
Okay, but as far as from a diagnostic perspective, would you have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns and her mood?
Yes.
Now, you said that you didn't have a concern for her safety. So what, in your time that you were with her, that you met with her, and all the information that we reviewed, what were identified as maybe protective factors that made you feel comfortable that she was safe?
She was, there's several things. She was future oriented. She was clearly invested in her children. She was a caring mother, just like a caring mother. She had her parents around to help her. She had family and supports. We ensured that she would have outpatient psychiatric care for follow-up. She didn't have a history of suicide. She had no history of psychosis, postpartum psychosis. She had a stable place to live. So
the statement that she made to you that she wouldn't have completed the act of suicide because of her kids or her mom, was that something that you considered?
Absolutely.
And the fact that during the time from admission on January 1st to the time she was discharged on January 5th, that she didn't make statements supporting suicidal ideation, was that a factor that you considered?
Yes.
And at no time during the time she was at McLean did she ever indicate that she had ever reported or had thoughts of harming anyone else, did she?
She had never stated that she had any thoughts of harming anybody else.
And ultimately, at the end of that conversation with her, or the hour later, she was able to secure that appointment that you asked her to on her own.
Correct.
And so knowing that now the discharge has moved up a day, what was your plan for medication for her upon discharge?
She would have continued on the Ativan to help her sleep at night. That was a short-term plan. Once she was feeling better or was able to sleep or her mood came back to baseline, she could taper off of it. She had trazodone to use as needed, and melatonin.
And as far as your recommendations for medication, it would be no more Seroquel. I guess, let me ask that question a different way.
Yes.
You didn't give her a new prescription for a different dosage of Seroquel, did you?
No.
And did you advise her to take Seroquel when she was home if she felt that she needed it?
I would assume she would take what I had prescribed.
Just to back up 1 second, as part of this treatment team plan for patients at McLean Hospital, is it fair to say that either you or other members of the team, either a mental health worker, social worker, or nurse, sometimes reach out to collaterals in order to try to gather information and assess a patient?
Yes.
And in this instance, are you aware that somebody reached out to Patrick Clancy to speak with him about his wife and her care?
Yes.
And were you aware that he reported that she hadn't ever had suicidal thoughts?
Yes.
And that he actually reported to the social worker that she was concerned about dependency?
Yes.
but she had told you that her husband was concerned. Is that correct?
Yes,
And that he felt that she had succumbed to social pressure to take psychiatric medications because her friends were taking them.
that's what he told the social worker.
And you're aware that he had made statements that he was unhappy with the medical care she was receiving at McLean.
He said, I don't think
Were you aware that he said he was very unhappy with the medical care she received?
she received. Yes, she didn't specify. He didn't specify McLean.
Okay, thank you. And as far as you're aware, the patient themselves, Ms. Clancy, she never complained that she wasn't getting seen by staff or doctors, was she?
She never complained of that.
Did she ever file any sort of complaint with the hospital?
No.
And is there a mechanism for a person to file a complaint if they feel like they're not being treated?
Absolutely.
And is that information posted all over the units?
It is posted on the unit and the forms are available.
And a person, even if they're not on a one-to-one or directly interacting with a mental health worker or social worker, do they always have the ability to request to speak to somebody?
Absolutely.
And so even when maybe somebody from their team is not there or working, is there somebody always on call, a mental health worker, a social worker, a psychiatrist, a nurse, for a person to speak to if they felt they needed to?
Yes.
And in addition to your meeting with her on January 4th, and after coming up with that plan for discharge on the 5th, are you aware that she then continued to engage in groups on the 5th, and that she continued to engage with mental health workers and social workers?
Yes.
And do you recall when she was discharged on the 5th? Was it in the morning or in the evening?
Afternoon, probably around 3-ish is my recall.
And upon discharge, was she provided with information that she could use when she was home? Like
What?
resources?
Yes.
And do you recall that she had asked about resources to find a new doctor at some point?
Yes.
And that she ultimately reported to the social worker that she felt comfortable managing at home?
Yes.
I may have one moment.
Sure.
So upon discharge, what did you actually prescribe her?
A 14-day supply of Ativan and a 14-day supply of trazodone.
Okay. And when you were having conversations with her about her thoughts of suicide or her thoughts of wanting to die, was she expressly asked if she wanted to kill herself?
Yes.
And what was her answer, if you recall?
She denied that.
She denied that?
Yes.
And was she specifically asked if she had a plan to kill herself?
Yes.
And what was her answer to that?
She denied it.
And was she specifically asked if she wanted to harm anyone else?
Yes.
And did she provide an answer for that?
She denied it.
And those are standard questions you would ask at every interaction with her, correct?
Yes.
And prior to discharge, she would also be asked those questions again, correct?
Yes.
Because if her answers changed at any point, it would have changed your plan, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Reddington.
Now you know he ready. Reddington is ready.
I'd like to start off just by asking, District Attorney asked you about resources that were provided to her. What were the resources?
We had discussed going on Psychology Today, where
I'm sorry?
she was aware of the website Psychology Today.
Website.
Yes, she was given the name of a case manager through her insurance who she could contact for assistance in finding new providers.
So other than telling her about the website for Psychology Today and talking about her insurance company and what they would allow for her to reach out for what, other providers? Is that what it was?
Can you restate that?
Sure, of course. You referenced her insurance company.
Yes.
I mean, that's a major consideration in medical treatment, is it not? What a person has for insurance?
No.
No?
I don't understand what you mean by
You know
that.
what insurance is? I mean, as far as like a person paying their bills for medical treatment or
You know what
psychiatric treatment.
insurance is.
Insurance is important because who you can see is limited by what insurance you
Right.
have.
So that's what I was asking as far as the insurance. You referenced that on the resources, when the DA asked you about resources, and I asked you what were the resources, and you said going on the website for Psychology Today, right?
Yes.
And that you spoke to her about her insurance, right?
We gave her the name of a case manager who she could contact and her telephone number in case she wanted to find other providers. They would be able to look at their database and figure out what providers would be within the distance she was comfortable with, whether they were male or female, if she had a preference, and if she had any preference about any specialization.
Okay. And in reference to the insurance, what is the insurance? You answered the question about insurance. I'm just asking, what is the involvement of insurance in that offer of resources?
I don't understand your question.
All right, maybe I didn't understand your answer. That's why I apologize. You had indicated that in addition to telling her to go on the website for
Yes.
Psychology Today, that you spoke about her insurance and other providers that would be permitted, I guess, under her insurance.
Not every patient, the fact that she had a case manager at Blue
What we
Cross
have
Blue
here is
Shield
a
was an added
mismatched
benefit
communication style.
because they could assist her in finding providers.
They have
That's what I meant.
different paces of
Other
speaking.
than the case manager from
It is
Blue
not
Cross
working.
Blue Shield and to do research off of the website for Psychology Today, what resources were provided to this woman?
There are numerous resources that are printed on the after visit summary. I don't know each and every one of them, but I think they would be in the medical record.
Okay. And that's something that is provided to a patient when they leave.
Yes.
She came in on a voluntary, is that correct? In other words, I know she was transported by an ambulance, but nevertheless, it was that she and her husband, Patrick, wanted her to be treated at McLean, correct?
She came in and signed in on a voluntary.
In other words, there were no orders of a court, no judge ordering that she be committed or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And she came in on, was it New Year's Eve? January 1st?
Yes.
And do you remember what time she came in?
I think she arrived at the CEC around 4.
Now, would you agree that on New Year's Eve in McLean Hospital, that ward is pretty much running on a skeleton crew?
I can't speak to something I'm not there.
No, obviously you're not there, but what about other people? Was skeleton crew New Year's Eve?
You would have to ask somebody who was there.
Well, you've worked there for what, 7 years?
5.
5 years. And what is the ward
Well, she don't.
she was
You obviously
on?
don't work holidays.
81 South.
81 South?
A as in apple, B as in boy, 1 South.
South. And how many doctors work at AB South on whatever shifts that you may have?
There are 4 psychiatrists assigned who work on AB1 South.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, that's it.
And does that include you?
Yes.
And approximately how many nurses work on AB South?
I wouldn't know, but I know that there is a nurse assigned to each team and that there are 4 teams. Sometimes, yeah, in general.
4 teams on AB South, right?
Yes,
Okay. And when you say a team, that consists of what? A psychiatrist, a nurse perhaps, or what?
a psychiatrist, a nurse, a social worker, and an assigned mental health worker.
And what are the shifts that this team would work?
There are 3 shifts.
Okay. And would that be like, 7 to 11, 11 to 4, that type of thing?
I think there's 7-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts. I don't know the exact times.
All right. And are you assigned a shift or do you just go whenever you want?
We are not assigned shifts.
And when she was presented to the hospital, she went through that initial evaluation that you told us about, the CEC. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat
CEC, maybe you were talking about the CEC?
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
Sure. When she admitted herself and was escorted onto AB South, that's where she was evaluated?
She was evaluated in the CEC by the psychiatrist. Then she came to the unit and was seen by Dr. Madhwa later the same day. So she met 2 psychiatrists on January 1st.
Okay. So you have a woman that has admitted herself to McLean
Yeah.
on New Year's for help, right?
Yes.
And she was evaluated at the CEC. Is that on that ward or is that a different part of the hospital?
It's a different part.
Okay. And how long does that evaluation typically take?
I can't speak to that. I don't work in the CEC.
What do you do in the CEC? What happens in the CEC? Does this person sit down and they get interviewed, or what do they do?
There's a full psychiatric evaluation.
And a full psychiatric evaluation consists of what?
A chief complaint, a history of, so basically a history of present illness, which would be what brings the person into the hospital.
Okay.
They review past psychiatric history, substance use history, social history, family history. They do a mental status exam, and then they make an assessment.
And they would be the CEC?
Psychiatrist.
And that would be the psychiatrist that you were referring to?
Dr. Outlaw.
Dr. Outlaw. Now, how long does the CEC typically take?
I do not know. It
I
depends on the
imagine-
speed of the person seeing the patient.
I imagine that at some point, a psychiatrist or a social worker or somebody must get into the prior history that the patient had prior to coming to your doorstep, right?
That is a part of the evaluation, yes.
Okay. And you had a chance, as the district attorney asked you, as to whether or not you were able to review the medical records that involved Lindsay Clancy's treatment at McLean Hospital for the 4.5 days, right?
I was able to review the CEC note, which had an excerpt of the MGH evaluation and the notes that were available to me since January 1st at McLean.
Now, as a psychiatrist, I mean, when she goes to the hospital, she's your patient, right?
She's
your patient.
Yes.
Yes. And as a doctor, what you want to do is get all the information that's available on why this person is in your locked ward, right?
Yes.
So did you do inquiry into her prior history, or was that left to the CEC person or the social worker?
That is part of the evaluation.
And the evaluation is CEC.
And when I see her as well.
All right. So do you sometimes, when I say you, I mean you or the social worker or the CEC person, do you talk to people like third party? I think you said third party contacts?
Yes,
All right.
the social worker does.
Okay, so, and you reviewed the records. So when did the social worker talk to the first psychiatrist that she went to see?
The social worker contacted Patrick.
Well, I know you told us that he contacted Patrick and that Patrick gave some history about the benzodiazepines that he was concerned about and he thought she wasn't getting good medical care. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right. You know that she had medical treatment
Yes.
before she came to McLean.
yes.
Okay. Who was her psychiatrist?
The nurse practitioner she was seeing prior to coming to McLean, I was aware of that person.
Would that be nurse practitioner Gelada?
Yes,
Did you speak to her?
no,
Did you look at her records?
I did not have access to them.
Why not?
They aren't in the same medical record system.
Well, the same medical record system is just so that you have access to MGH, you have access to Brigham and Women's Hospital, because it's all part of some big computer information access you have. What about other healthcare providers? Can you get access to their records?
Not immediately.
Well, how about if you have a release signed by a patient under the HIPAA law? You know what the HIPAA law is, obviously, right?
Yes,
And just tell me, what does that actually mean, that a patient allows someone to look at their medical records?
yes,
And Lindsay was very, very cooperative with you guys, wasn't she?
yes.
Did anyone ever ask her to sign a HIPAA release for anyone to get access to nurse practitioner Gelada's records?
No,
How about psychiatrist Tufts' records?
no,
How about nurse practitioner Paul's records?
no.
Who's Letitia Dukes?
She was a social worker, I think, that Lindsay saw at South Shore at the perinatal program.
Okay. And do you know when she went to the South Shore, Rhode Island perinatal program?
I know it was prior to admission. I don't remember the exact dates.
Do you know what recommendations that she had received at that point?
No, other than the medication.
Do you know what medication she was actually on when she presented to McLean Hospital?
Seroquel and Valium.
What is it?
Seroquel and Valium.
You knew that Dr. Tufts was the first psychiatrist that she actually consulted, correct?
I believe so.
And when again, if you don't know, just say you don't know.
Yes,
Okay. And I think you made reference to the fact, or maybe the DA made reference in questioning you about the fact that she was looking for doctors for some type of medication or something. Is that fair?
that's a very vague statement. I don't know what you mean.
Okay. Well, actually, she saw Dr. Tufts because Dr. Tufts advertised that she was an expert in perinatal care, right?
Objection.
Overruled.
Oh, sorry. I wouldn't know why she saw Dr. Tufts.
Do you know what medication Dr. Tufts prescribed to her?
From what Lindsay told me, yes.
What?
Zoloft was the first.
All right. So Dr. Tufts, according to Lindsay, provided her, Lindsay, with Zoloft, which is an SSRI, correct?
It's an antidepressant in that class, yes.
Okay, so when you say an antidepressant in that class, the class would be selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, right?
Yes.
And that's pretty powerful stuff, isn't it?
I don't know what you mean by powerful.
No? Well, are you supposed to prescribe Zoloft or sertraline to a person that has bipolar?
I think it all depends on what you're seeing when you see the patient.
All right. So it's important, I would imagine then, to be fair in your evaluation of this young woman that came to your hospital for help on New Year's, to find out what any evaluations were of her condition, her presentation, her symptomology when she saw that first psychiatrist, Dr. Tufts, right?
Lindsay was cooperative and she was forthcoming. I had no reason to think that she would not provide us with what other providers thought, just like she told us that Tufts said she was worried about bipolar disorder. And
I apologize.
Yes.
Tufts advised her that she was worried
no,
about?
sorry, it was,
Gelada?
yes,
Okay.
sorry, thank you.
That's all right, no problem. And again, if you have records or you want to look at them, that's fine, because I know it's tough to have all this stuff in your head.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
And so Dr. Tufts prescribed the Zoloft to her, and you knew that right after the initial prescription of Zoloft, do you know how many milligrams she was prescribed initially by Dr. Tufts?
Lindsay, I think, stated it was 25.
Okay. And then Dr. Tufts increased it to what, 100?
Lindsay said it was increased to 50.
50, all right. So, and again, you're in a, I don't know if it's appropriate to say, but you're in a mental institution, right? That's where you work at McLean
Yes.
Hospital. Okay, and it's a locked ward, right?
Yes,
And she's a patient that's coming to you for help, right?
yes.
Is it appropriate for a doctor to take what that patient is telling you as a history? Or do you have to verify it or talk to other healthcare providers to make sure that they're not just running off and making something up?
I had no reason to believe that she was not a reliable reporter.
Because she seemed very forthright, right?
Yes,
She seemed very honest in her disclosure of her symptomology, right?
yes.
One of the things, or one of the tools that you in the mental health field have access to is psychiatric testing, right?
Yes,
Okay. You have, for example, one tool, and I think psychologists, and there are psychologists that are on staff, I would imagine, at McLean as well.
no, not on that unit.
As a psychiatrist, you don't administer psychiatric or psychological testing, do you?
No,
All right. But for example, you've got the Beck inventory test, or what's called the MMPI test. You're familiar with those, right?
these are forms and forms that the patient can fill out.
Right. And one of the tests is the MMPI, which is Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test, right?
I have heard of that.
Okay. And you know that one of the things that it determines is, if they call it the K scale, whether or not somebody is lying or minimizing, or not minimizing, but lying about their symptomology, right?
I don't know much about the scale.
Well, that's a tool that can give someone information as to the person's presentation of their symptomology. That would be important as to their honesty of whether or not they're trying to minimize or whether or not they're trying to falsely project their symptomology, right?
I don't know what you're asking me.
Okay. Were you aware that there were ever any psychological testing administered to Lindsay? MMPI or Beck or anything?
No.
Okay. How many times did she call or reach out to help for a suicide hotline?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be something important to find out, if the person who you're suggesting was denying suicidality or suicidal ideation upon your evaluation, that she called out to suicide hotlines?
She was telling, she told us that she was having suicidal thoughts,
Right.
but had no intent or plan. So I do know that she was struggling with suicidal ideation.
Right. Anybody else that you talked to? Or did you
Patrick.
talk to anybody else?
I know the social worker talked to Patrick,
Patrick.
and he did give the information he gave.
Okay. So what I'm asking is, as you're investigating the history of this patient, you're not aware, no idea that she had reached out on not one but two occasions to a suicide hotline. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Did you know that when she was first prescribed the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts at 25 milligrams, then increased to 50 milligrams, that she then reported that she was unable to sleep?
She
For
shared
40
that with us. Yeah,
Was that?
sorry. I'm sorry. I
Go
didn't.
right ahead, no problem. What is it?
I'm going to let you finish the question.
Okay, thank you. No big deal. It's just that she reported that she went for 48 hours without sleep.
I don't remember that time quoted. I know she had difficulty sleeping.
You indicated in your testimony that, and I quote, "I would have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns," right? Do you remember saying that?
Uh, following the changes in the medications that we were making.
So sleep pattern would be just what it says, sleep pattern. Like you sleep from 9 at night till 7 in the morning, or
Yes.
12 at night, whatever your pattern would be, right?
Yes,
And why is a sleep pattern important for you as a psychiatrist trying to evaluate your patient?
because difficulty sleeping is a symptom of several different conditions, and it can worsen several different conditions.
And you know that she had reported severe anxiety, right?
She was struggling with anxiety, yes.
Struggling with anxiety. And she was having not just insomnia, but she had very, very severe insomnia, didn't she?
She wasn't able to sleep.
And you would prefer to have more information about sleep patterns, is what you said. I'm not putting words in your mouth. That's what you said.
I know that we were able to observe her sleep while she was on the unit. Once she left the unit, I would not know how she was sleeping, which is why we referred her to somebody else so that they could continue to monitor her symptoms.
Obviously. So let's put the time that you are observing her, or that your social workers are investigating to whatever extent they did, her background. What were her sleep patterns that were important to you prior to New Year's 2023?
The amount of sleep is important.
Yeah, and you said that. You already said, I would have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns.
After she was in, if I was going to continue to evaluate her, I would want to observe her sleep, is what I meant.
Oh, so you didn't mean that as an evaluator of her prior medical history, trying to get a history of your patient for purposes of diagnosis and treatment, that you wanted to know what her sleep patterns were. You didn't mean that you meant prior?
The history of whether somebody is struggling with insomnia is important, and the patient can relay that to me.
Okay. You ever heard of patients that minimize their symptoms and lie about their symptoms sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. So it's important to corroborate what the person is telling
That's
you,
sticking
right?
out, Danielle.
I mean, you want to talk to somebody else objective to find out what, if any, evidence there is of symptomology.
And we did that with Patrick.
I'm sorry?
So when a patient presents and they're talking to us, it is not just about what they are saying. It's about their body language, their eye contact. You can get a sense of whether a person is being honest or whether they're lying. And we are not, we're providers. The patient is there to get help. They're going to tell us what is bothering them and what they're concerned about. That's why they're in the hospital.
This woman was in a locked ward. She couldn't walk off your unit, could she?
That is what a psychiatric unit is.
Right. And she was very sick, wasn't she?
I don't know what you mean by very sick.
Really? You indicated that you would assume that she would take what I prescribed. Do you do that with all of your patients? Assume that when they have mental disease or a defect that they would do what they're told?
If they are cooperative, and they have been cooperative and reliable. Yes,
One of the things that's referenced would be, she stated that she had intrusive thoughts. Remember that?
yes.
What were the intrusive thoughts?
From what's stated in the medical record, thoughts of suicide.
Okay. And how often would she have the intrusive thoughts?
I don't recall if the frequency.
Would you agree with me that in addition to anxiety and in addition to inability to sleep, that
These two are getting on my
she
nerves.
was in what was self-described as a brain fog, right?
She complained of feeling, yeah, you can complain of feeling foggy.
She also complained about that she felt as if she was a zombie, right?
She did not use those words.
Anybody else use that word describing her in your investigation?
No,
Did Patrick tell you that he was concerned about the medications that she had been prescribed over the past 2 or 3 months?
yes,
And you knew what the medications were that she was prescribed, correct?
she told us.
She told you, okay. And she told you that she was prescribed, in addition to the SSRI Zoloft that was increased from 25 to 100, that she was then told,
I was aware that
I'm sorry, 50.
Correct.
She was then told to stop taking the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts, right?
She reported not being able to sleep, and they agreed that she would not take the Zoloft.
Okay, so the answer is yes. She was told to stop taking the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts, right?
I think you would have to ask Dr. Tufts that
Oh, I
question.
will. But I'm asking you, as investigating her.
I know that she stopped taking the Zoloft
Well,
and
was it
that she saw Dr. Tufts, so I assume that they would have come to that agreement.
all right, so as you're evaluating this patient, you're assuming that she voluntarily stopped taking the Zoloft?
Because she wasn't able to sleep and she discussed it with Dr. Tufts.
She did. You knew that.
She told us she did.
Okay. How many patients have you treated? How many women have you treated that were suffering from postpartum psychosis?
I don't recall. I don't remember, but I think it would stick in my memory, so I don't think that I probably have.
You don't think you probably have?
I don't think I have. I haven't seen any.
How about postpartum depression?
Yes.
How many patients have you treated with postpartum depression?
Over the last 20 years, I wouldn't, there are lots of patients I have seen. I
Okay.
don't keep a record of what diagnoses and what people I see.
Now, one of the things that you, when I say you collectively, I mean psychiatrists, psychologists, use in your evaluations and diagnoses of patients would be what's referred to as the DSM, correct?
Yes.
And that would be, DSM, it means Diagnostic Statistical Manual, right?
Yes.
And it started out with DSM-1, then it went to 2, then it went to 2R, meaning revised, and then there were a number of revisions, and now we're all the way up to DSM-5, correct?
Yes.
And DSM-5,
This is her lawyer.
also the most recent would be
This is her
-TR.
lawyer.
What does TR mean?
I don't actually know.
Blessed
The
assurance.
DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, is really, it's about this thick, right? If you have a
We
regular size
need-
book. I just have a little one, but,
I think so.
okay. Do you rely on or do you use in your evaluation of patients the Diagnostic Statistical Manual?
The diagnoses are based on the criteria that are stated in there.
Okay, so you do use for diagnosis purposes what is stated in the DSM, correct?
Yes.
And it's kind of like a cookbook. I mean, it basically tells you what the ingredients of a particular mental disease or defect would be, right?
Yes.
And you know that it's basically a group of people that get together and they discuss what should or should not be included in the manual that psychiatrists and psychologists use to diagnose patients, right?
Yes.
And they try to keep up to date and stay on top of any recent developments, right?
I would assume, I don't know.
Okay,
I can't speak to it.
that's all right. So here we are in 2026, not 1928. Is postpartum depression in the DSM?
I think it's a subcategory.
You think it's a subcategory of what?
Depression.
Depression. How about psychosis? Postpartum psychosis in 2026. Is that in this manual?
I don't exactly know where it is.
Have you ever seen it in this
I don't recall paying attention to where it's categorized.
So if you're treating a woman who is, as you put it, postpartum because she had the child, and then you told the jury, well, there's a time frame, a cutoff as to whether or not a person is still postpartum, still subject to mood swings, and still subject to hormone imbalance, and there's a cutoff, is what you said, right?
Different organizations use different definitions.
How about you? You're here for the government testifying in this case. What's your understanding of a cutoff of postpartum, if there is one?
For the DSM-5, it is 4 weeks. For ACOG, which is the American Academy of Obstetrics or something, I don't remember what it stands for. It's 12 weeks. For the CDC, it's 12 months. For the CDC, it's 12 months.
Okay, so CDC would be Center for Disease Control, right?
Yes.
So they're pretty much all over the place as far as the time frame that a woman can still be involved with postpartum symptomology, right?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of a doctor by the name of Meg Spinelli?
No.
Have you read anything about the efforts being made to have the DSM-6 coming out include
Objection.
No, overruled.
postpartum psychosis?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Have you read or are you aware of efforts being made to include postpartum psychosis in the DSM-6 that will be coming out within a couple of months?
I think I have.
Jesus, we need another
I
one.
think it's clear that
We need another
there
one. This
is
is- this
question
is-
about where it
Oh,
should
Jesus,
be
I'm going to say something.
placed or categorized.
Okay, so are you aware of any efforts being made to
No.
include postpartum psychosis in the DSM-6 when it comes out?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. How vague?
I don't know.
She don't know.
I know
Listen,
that there's question about where it should be categorized.
not the right
and
witness
that
for these
the
questions.
DSM is
And this
reviewed
is
every
not the
time,
right,
and they try
this
to move things
conversation is
around
not
based on
going to
what
land
clinicians and
anywhere
researchers
near the way either of them wanted to land.
What,
They are
if
not
any,
having a conversation. They have mismatched
impact
communication styles.
does
He's
the
not adjusting to
thyroid
her
have
pace. She's not adjusting to
on
his.
a woman
It's not
who
working.
has just had a baby and is in the postpartum period, whatever they decided it is, 6 months, 4 months, a year? What impact does the thyroid have?
I am not internal medicine physician. I am a doctor. What I do know about the thyroid is that the thyroid can affect one's mood and anxiety, whether one is pregnant or not.
So is it fair to say that thyroid levels are important in evaluating a woman who was in postpartum?
It's one tiny component of the entire. It is one component. Okay.
So what does that mean?
It's one of the
Lady, quit trying to
What does that
answer it,
mean?
making it seem like you are up on these things, baby. This ain't
it's one
your,
of
this ain't your
the
lane.
tests
Stay
that
in your
can be
lane.
done when a
And you
patient
done
is
went across the
admitted.
street and hit a rural road. This
Okay,
is,
was it
no.
done by McLean Hospital?
No.
Shut it up.
What?
No.
Are you aware that your records indicate that she had a thyroid read that are part of the records?
My recall is that the TSH was not from 2022 or 2023.
Right. It was from 2000 and what? From
I wouldn't know. You'd have to refer to the record.
So in other words, it was imported into McLean records by, I guess, computer access or something from MGH years before, right?
Things move forward, yes.
I'm sorry?
Labs do populate from the past.
Okay, so in the past, as a psychiatrist, as her treating psychiatrist at McLean Hospital, trying to do an investigation, evaluate this woman to tell her what your diagnosis was and what you guys can do to help her out. Did you look at the thyroid reads?
It was one of the labs that I would have reviewed.
You would have reviewed. Okay, as you're sitting here today, do you have any memory about what the thyroid reads were?
It was within normal limits.
And that would be coming from how long before? A year, 2, 3?
I don't remember.
So there were no actual thyroid tests done while she was at the hospital at McLean, right?
No.
What is the Edinburgh the EPDS or something like that? What is that?
It's a scale.
A scale. What kind of a scale?
It's a postpartum scale for depression.
And it's used by psychiatrists and psychologists to evaluate the risk factor of a woman who is involved with postpartum, right?
I think it's to assess the level of depression.
In a woman who's involved with postpartum, not some guy that got injured on a soccer field, right?
Yes.
So what does the EPDS mean? I'm probably butchering that. What is that an acronym for?
Edinburgh's postpartum depression scale or something.
Okay, the Edinburgh postpartum depression scale. Was that administered to Lindsay when she was in for the 4 days and a half that she was in your hospital?
No,
Why not?
because we don't necessarily administer scales.
You don't necessarily what?
We don't administer scales.
Why? That's an accepted tool to evaluate a patient as a psychiatrist or a psychologist, isn't it?
It is a tool, but it doesn't in the end determine the diagnosis.
Oh, no, of course not, because the doctor who supposedly has access to the person's medical history and all of the other aspects of your evaluation is the one that gives the diagnosis, right?
The psychiatrist makes the diagnosis based on the presentation, the history of the patient.
Right. So far, what we've got is a presentation of the patient who was in the locked wards at McLean Hospital, and the presentation was from her, right?
Her presentation is how she presents, how she is observed. It's not what she's telling us.
Well, isn't what she's telling you part of what you consider?
Yes,
Okay. And what Patrick's telling you is part of what you consider?
yes.
So other than what Lindsay, who is in the locked ward, tells you, and her husband who tells you, what, if any, investigation did you do?
We did not do any additional collateral contact.
And you didn't do any tests either, right? You didn't do it. Did you do a blood test?
Psychiatry as a field is not dependent on blood tests. If it was that
Well-
simple, it would be much better for everybody. It's based on the evaluation of the patient who's sitting in front of you.
So you're suggesting to this jury that it's not a valid medical step for one to take blood from a person who is on a cocktail of drug medications to find out what their levels are?
No, not a regular procedure at all.
Okay. Now, McLean did not take any blood. McLean did not do the Edinburgh scale, but that would be something that you would be interested in, right? As to whether or not anyone else gave her the Edinburgh depression scale.
Let me clarify one thing. McLean did draw blood. They did do testing. There was no testing for levels of drugs. Just
okay.
let me clarify that. So
That's fine.
Okay.
So they took a CBC or maybe a blood count evaluation, but it had nothing to do with what
Right
was
question,
on
wrong
board, as they
person.
say, as
Yeah.
far as
This is not landing the way he needs it to.
antipsychotics, SSRIs, anything, right?
They check
Although I
for
get exactly what he's
substances of
saying.
abuse, but nothing
He's
else.
saying, who the
Well, there
fuck
were no
crazy?
substances of abuse.
Y'all are her, because y'all listen
No.
to the person that's on the locked end of this building and taking her word for your documentation.
Drugs that they call some of their categories. They didn't test for that, did they?
And as if the theories
are
about
not tested
Patrick
on a
weren't
regular
already
basis.
How about on her
to the
basis?
moon. The fact that y'all only accepted Patrick's
I
information as help
don't know
to
why I
her
would have
history,
tested for
Lord, the
those.
theories are going
What
to
would have been the
go.
indication?
How about if she presents, and the history that she's giving you is that she was on
Blow
a
the roof
number
off the moon.
of drugs for that 3-month period or 3.5-month period. Would it be of interest to you as to what was on board in her blood?
Medications have different half-lives. So if she had taken something, it would depend on
He's
what
not
the
about to
half-life
understand
was.
half-life
If it
and
was a day,
equations.
it
He's
would be
not
out
about
of her
to.
system. I would not
He
be
still
able, we
thinks
would
you
not
got to
be
figure
able
out
to
if it's
catch
animal
it
blood or human
at that
blood.
time. It would depend on what she'd been taking and, what was in her bloodstream at that point.
So the admission.
This is not the civil trial. We're not trying to attack the standard of care. Just get to what they did and what they didn't do in there. And it sounds like you need to stop talking because Lindsay was telling them she was fine. And it sounds like Lindsay didn't want the stigma of being on
I don't
medications
remember what page
associated
it's
with
on, but
bipolar because she
That's
damn sure didn't want the
understandable.
diagnosis. Sit down, Paw. Wait for the next one.
Thank you.
If you in a locked facility, I don't believe shit you say. Only thing we can talk about is, do you know the Muffin Man? Okay, we can watch some Miss Rachel, we can color, we can get that Play-Doh, but you ain't getting ready to tell me nothing about life if you can't walk out of here if you want to. Okay, I'm not listening to you.
Tell me what this means when it says clinical summary. Okay.
You ain't finna tell me nothing.
Doctor, can you maybe move that microphone just so that
Sorry about that. That's the social worker's note?
Correct.
That's what the district attorney was questioning you on? When she referred you to?
They say when you're dealing with folks like that, smile and nod. I'll be smiling and nod the whole
Was
time
this
you're
the
talking. Walk the
conversation
fuck
with
off.
Patrick? I'm not sure I don't recall what you're
Okay.
talking about.
All right.
I'd have one quote for your ass. I don't have time for your shit today,
Clinical
Lindsay.
summary.
That's
It
it.
says the case
That's
was
it.
discussed in rounds.
Where my light at?
That
Turn
is
this
like
damn light on.
Grey's Anatomy, you have rounds and they see patients in the rooms and that type of
No.
thing? No, what does it mean when it says in rounds?
It's when we meet in the morning, the social worker, the psychiatrist, the nurse, and the charged nurse, the utilization reviewer.
Okay. So that's why it says on page 63, discussed in rounds, SW and PIC met with Lindsay. as
We
part
be
of
in that
entry
sucker
into
playing hide and
right?
seek and everything else they want to do, but you ain't getting ready to tell me nothing
Presenting
about
problem,
life,
then it says
motherfucker.
HX, that's history.
We'll have
right?
fun.
Mhm.
I'll make sure you
And
can get,
psychosocial
won't be so
Ajax
stressed.
history was discussed, correct?
Yes.
You ain't finna tell
At that
me.
point, she
Go on my-
stated that she was hoping to be home by next weekend for her daughter's birthday, right?
Mhm.
And that then she relates her history as far as having a third baby on May 26th. That would be Callan, right?
Yes.
The youngest baby. And she then told you all that 12 weeks after she delivered, the baby wasn't taking the bottle. It was around the time that she was supposed to go back to work. Husband also went back to work, and she was experiencing a lot of, and then someone puts in quotes, situational anxiety. Is that correct?
That's what it states.
All right. So as a result, is that coming from her, or that word situational anxiety, was that her words because it's in quotes, or was that you guys put that in there?
I didn't write that note.
Okay. But you factored that in your investigation, right?
I read it.
Okay. And as a result of this, she subsequently saw a psychiatrist that prescribed her Zoloft.
Now, I have a question, and I think I'm seeing, I think y'all are answering my questions in the.
Yes.
And 1 week after prescribing that, it says after 1 week of
Real quick, and I think y'all are pretty much answering my question in there. But y'all know, in a past life, decades ago, I worked at a halfway house, and before people could actually get their medications, a new script, they would have to take a drug test, a urine test, and some of them would have to have, depending on their orders, would have to have a blood sample drawn to ensure that the medication was in there at a certain amount. Before they can get their new script written to ensure that they're taking it. It seems like that would be a pretty good thing to do. You say you're on these medications, but is it in your system?
taking it, that she developed insomnia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's an indication of a reaction that the patient had to the medication that was prescribed to her, being the SSRIs, Zoloft, right?
It could be a side effect, yes.
Could be, okay. And the psychiatrist told her to stop.
Yeah, that was
taking
pretty much the
Zoloft,
background,
right?
Keisha, because of their
That's what it
situation. It was
states.
making sure they wouldn't,
And you know from
tell
your
them.
investigation and your evaluation of Lindsay Clancy, when the doctor told her to stop taking Zoloft, it was like, I mean, you can guess, it was like a week later, a couple of days later.
It would be, if I don't recall off the top of my head, but if that information was available, it would be
Got
in my
it.
note.
Do you know, can you find your note in here? I just don't know how to navigate that.
She didn't give the medication time to work before changing to something. Heart med docs are the same thing. Pop had to do that. Like, he had to have weekly blood draws to recalibrate his meds. I do remember that. He had congestive heart failure. Yeah, I remember that, Laura.
You know, Mr. Redding, that's probably not a bad idea. We've been sitting here, kind of missed that morning recess. So we're going to take that at this point, just a short morning recess. I'll let all of you kind of stretch your legs a little bit, and then we'll come right back. Okay?
Court, all rise. Jurors, close your notebooks, place them on your chairs, please. This way, please.
He says short morning recess. Sorry, get us back live. Okay. All right. I know my face was turning up over here a little bit. How are we feeling? How are we feeling about Cross? I get Cross. I just don't think this is the right. I don't think this is the right witness. I love the questions. I don't think this witness can answer them. Not just because of what he's asking, but her communication style would never work for anybody who's scrutinizing what you're saying. Like, I don't doubt that she knows these answers. I don't doubt she's highly intelligent. I don't doubt that she is amazing at what she does. However, if every time I ask you a question, your eyes roll up in the back of your head and you got to think about it, I'm not going to believe shit you say, okay? I'm going to think you don't know what you're talking about. It's going to come off like you're unsure. And even if you are sure, even if she is giving us the right answers, it's just not coming off well. It's not coming off confident. It's not coming off as if she's well studied in it. And then on top of all of that, you've already stated out of your mouth before you start kind of poorly answering these questions that you knew she had a problem with her care. Lindsay seems like she can communicate almost as well as Reddington. Not saying she's that quick-witted or she's snappy at the mouth. I'm just saying that she seems like she has a faster pace of communication. And therefore, it would be mismatched for me to have a doctor. Especially, like, take me. We won't talk about Lindsay. We'll talk about me. If she was my doctor, we'd be in a tussle. Stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. Go get somebody else. Go get somebody else. Who did you not hear what? Why you? As soon as she looked up in her head, I would have thought she didn't know what I was talking about, or she didn't have the answer, and we wouldn't have meshed well. We would not have meshed well. And when I have questions, I get anxious. I need an answer or how to get the answer. I need to be pointed in the right direction. And if all you can tell me is to look on Psychology Today and give me a piece of printed paper, one, it's not personalized. We talking about me, baby. I'm not talking about everybody that comes fuck through here, okay? Let me out of here. So I would have also probably had the feeling of I'm not okay with this care. And because I communicate in that way, because I need an answer, because I need guidance, because I require things to be very personalized, I would have told my husband, this ain't shit, they ain't doing shit, I ain't did shit, I've been playing hide and go seek, and do you know the Muffin Man? I done watched 3 episodes of Miss Rachel, and I don't know what the fuck they doing, they ain't doing nothing, I ain't seen nobody. Not because I didn't see anybody, not because I didn't participate, not because I wasn't engaged, but because it was not at a level that had me participating in my treatment. The other thing is, as humans, boom, that's exactly what I was going to say. The other thing is, as humans, a lot of times when we hear something that we do not want to hear, or not exactly what we are going to get, what we were trying to go for, it seems like there should have been a different communication level, not only because Lindsay may require a dialogue like me, but Lindsay has a medical background, an amazing medical background. Lindsay is nobody's dummy, okay? So Lindsay, you're giving a diagnosis to a nurse who's been a nurse long enough to probably provide one. So even though that might not have been labor delivery, right? Maybe even though that might not have been her normal lane, Lindsay ain't taking no diagnosis that Lindsay didn't come up with herself, right? It's going to be a little harder to give a nurse of her capacity a diagnosis that she wasn't considering. That would have taken someone with very strong communication skills to be able to give her that information. And if you come at Lindsay with you're bipolar, bitch, what? Now, if you would have said we have a lack of sleep, we have this, we have that, and laid out a bunch of symptoms, Lindsay probably would have came damn near the bipolar her damn self. But because you didn't lay it out in a way that she communicates, baby, you started a tussle. And then when Lindsay probably fired back questions, your ass probably started looking up in the sky. It didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. Lindsay's highly intelligent, and this bout in the realm of her field of where she glows, where she does her thing. Patients like to rely on Facebook, TikTok, their friends versus medical professionals. Nicole, you are absolutely right, because I've never understood why people will pay big money for a doctor or pay a big money for a lawyer and then tell them what to do. What? So you got a law degree. So you went to medical school. But in this case, Lindsay has a lot of the same education. So you can't just talk to her like she's Miss J. Miss J got tech background. Miss J got insurance background. You know what I mean? You can't talk to, you can't. Now, if we were talking about billing, if we were talking about my insurance and you said something that didn't quite make no sense, we're going to have a tussle because I know that's not quite right. But I can't argue with a lawyer. I can't argue with a medical doctor. I don't know, right? But they're speaking to someone who has a medical background and you're looking up in the sky. You don't sound confident. And then you say something for Lindsay, what could have felt like left field, even though it may not have been, right? I just don't even think, I just think the communication was off, and that started the beginning of the end. That knocked the fucking foundation out for whatever care she was receiving. I don't like the fact, and I see what Reddington's doing. Y'all ain't talk to nobody. Y'all didn't talk to nobody but her and Patrick. First of all, her words don't count because the only thing we want to ask her is, do you know the Muffin Man? We're not talking. I mean, you can tell me anything you want to, but I'm smiling and nodding. And if in the middle of me figuring out what the fuck is wrong with you, why you're not sleeping, you say, I know I ain't slept in front of you that many times, but can you go ahead and speed this along? I got a birthday party to go to. On Drury Lane, bitch, because you ain't going nowhere else. You want me to figure this out, or you want to go sing happy birthday? Now wait the fuck a minute. Now, but again, Lindsay's able to communicate on the same level with some of the same education to a point where you thought, well, long as you make a doctor's appointment, you can't go by just because they're able to complete a task because you gave them motivation to complete the task. Why didn't you ask her to do something that required her to follow through when she ain't want to be there and see if that happened? I can tell Denver, who is 6, to go do something and take care of something and follow through and have 1, 2, maybe 3 easy steps that he's capable of, and he'll do nothing. But if I tell Denver, if you do this, this, and this, we're going to Walmart, that shit will be done before I blink again. It's motivation. That's not a fair. You should have seen how she was going to act, what she was going to do if she missed that birthday party. It shouldn't have been, I'll let you go if you go to the doctor the next day. How the fuck you gonna know? How you know she going to the doctor and you ain't talked to not one damn one of her doctors? How you know she go to doctors? She could be going to fucking Doc Mix Stuffings and your ass ain't checked. Jesus Christ. So, let me see. She did volunteer. She signed in voluntarily. She did sign in voluntarily. But if they think you a danger to yourself or others, they can keep your ass. Lindsay thought she knew more when she was a nurse and not a psychiatrist. She wasn't a psych nurse. To be honest, I agree. I agree, and I'm 50-50 with that, Jay, because the only reason why is because it could be that she felt like she knew more. The other thing could be I'm not going to lie, if you were communicating to me like this doctor and I had some of the same background, I probably wouldn't listen. So it could have been her intention or it could have just happened unintentionally. But either way, she may have gotten to a point where she's like, nah, I got this. So y'all don't think Lindsay researched her own symptoms? Absolutely do. And seeing, wait, it could be possible. She wasn't shocked. She just didn't want to accept it. She didn't want it on her jacket. That's possible. That's very possible. You're not going to tell. Nurses do all the research in the world. I have friends that have been nurses since we were out of high school, so decades now, and they research everything to a T. I think sometimes nurses, this is no shade to any doctors, but sometimes nurses hit the ground running and dig deep before the doctor even gets there. Is this, that, blah, blah, blah. So they understand how, and then when they've been doing it for so long, even though they're not the ones to give the diagnosis, they can pretty much in their mind come to a conclusion of where the doctor's probably going to go with this simply because of their experience. So I agree with you. She probably definitely, I know, if nothing more, she was looking up her symptoms and asking questions. She probably asked questions that, and people probably didn't realize she was asking about herself, but I do believe she asked questions. She had all the right people around her. Without a signed court order, their hands was tied. And that whole thing about having a plan, yeah. I don't like that, but I understand that it's the way of the world. It just really, really, really psyched me out that she said that her reason for staying on this side of life was her mother and her kids. Only to send her kids on the other side of life. I don't think she wanted to accept it. And I also feel like some of these things she saw in her same patients. So she had already kind of made up her mind about it. Okay, Nicole. Okay. And she's a psych MP. It got to be. It got to be. You don't even know who you're talking to. Baby, let me tell you something. I watched Split. Anybody who worked in that area, God bless you. God bless you. God bless your cousin. Because, baby, the way I'd have them playing tetherball and double dutch and four square and some sidewalk chalk, because I wouldn't know what else to do. I'd be trying to de-stress them, okay? And what was more of a stress reliever than recess? Google every single symptom. Come on. Knowing we shouldn't be doing it. I ain't got no business doing it. Sabrina, I ain't got no business. Ooh, Tierra, that's going to be a big one. That's going to be a big one. People are going to assume with her education and her background and her understanding of things that Lindsay knew how to make it look like she wanted help, but then refused to actually accept the help. That's going to fuel that theory that Lindsay was a nurse and knew what she was doing and knew how to do it to make it look like type thing. Now, we caught yesterday that ADA Sprague said, I'm not going to give you our full theory. We're saving that for closing, which is that my mic drop? Y'all know I love a mic drop. You know I love that coup de grace and rebuttal where can't nobody else say nothing. But she already put it out there. Oh, we got a theory about what the fuck happened. But we're not going to put it out there until we get to the point of closings. And then she said that crazy stuff where we not saying it was fake. We saying it was a real attempt, but the methods chosen were unsuccessful. Those methods chosen were chosen to be unsuccessful. So again, she coded. So that's going to be a hell of a leap. That's going to be a hell of a theory they're going to have to present because she coded. Unless you're saying the coding was collateral damage and that was an accident. But I mean, besides the Patrick theories that this social worker that McLean Hospital only talked to Patrick outside of Lindsay, that's going to fuel the hell out of those Patrick theories. But for the folks that are kind of in the middle saying Lindsay premeditated this and knew what she was doing, and because of her nursing background or medical background, she knew how to make things look a certain way, then like you said, Tierra, this is that whole I'm refusing to accept your diagnosis is going to fuel that. J Webb MD had my Aunt Wanda thinking she had a brain tumor, and baby, she about drove us crazy. Only to find out she took too many aspirin. In ICU? Damn. Patients like Lindsay wouldn't have raised many red flags. Oh my God. That's why I feel like in psych, you look at behaviors and actions versus words. And that's what the doctor was saying. You can't be playing with the other things. Like, you look at the person that's in front of you. She was malingering. Psych is very deep. And and not just I'm having thoughts. I give you a diagnosis and you don't accept it. I think, yeah. Oof. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I hate it because we know that she said the whole reason why I'm not a threat, the whole reason why I'm not going to do anything. I don't care what I said before. I'm not going to do nothing to my kids. And that's exactly who she took out. That's the effed up part. That's the effed up part about this. Ooh, look at this one, y'all. How do y'all feel about this? I wish Lindsay would have just been honest. 1 in the chat if you felt like Lindsay was being honest. 2 if you felt like Lindsay was not being honest. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that one. Because I have a follow-up question. And it's a mixed bag here. Nicole! All them twos is you. It's outside of Nicole at the beginning. It looks like it's a kind of a mixed bag, but I'm seeing a lot of 2s that she wasn't being honest. Because the thing is, she could have not been being honest, but just didn't want to accept that diagnosis. So let's try this. So now that for those that said 2, you don't feel like she was being honest. Do you think she was not being honest? Her dishonesty, do you feel like her dishonesty was with malicious intent, or that she was just trying to avoid a stigma? 1, if you think it would have malicious intent. 2, if you think that she was trying to avoid a stigma. Sheree, that quick? So she was being dishonest, but not to harm. Not to be able to do this. Okay. I see where we're going. I see where we're leaning. That there's blame to go around. Sonia said bullshit. Sonia said she knew what she was doing. Tierra said bullshit. But I see, because I feel like people can, like, it's not all of everything. I think this whole case is going to be a mixed bag of everything. And so it's possible for 2 things to exist at the same time. It's possible to think that Lindsay was being dishonest with, like, okay, so the state acts like it has to be premeditation, everything that she did. And the defense is saying she didn't do nothing. I mean, she did that, but that wasn't her. And so I wish the state or somebody would say that 2 things could exist at one time. Yes, the state can say in their opening that she was dishonest with her doctors. She hid things from her husband. But does that have to mean that she did it just so she could take out her kids? Like, a lot of this case is going to be hard because 2 things can exist at one time. Honestly, I'm still at the intersection of premeditated and postpartum. I feel like those 2 things intersected. I don't think that everything was one thing or the other thing. I think both things were playing a part here. And now they're going to have to make me understand how this was just premeditation, or how this was just like how there was more premeditation, or how there was more postpartum. Because I really feel like they both can exist in the same moment. I have to understand, for the defense's side, that Lindsay had no appreciation for right or wrong, or felt like what she was doing was right in that moment. And therefore, I'm going to stick to this and say, I need the voice. I need the voice. I need the timeline of the voice. I need the understanding of the voice. I need to know what the voice said when. Did the voice say something and come back and then whisper it again? Did the voice start and then stop? Did the voice happen at, like, when did the voice happen? Was the voice before or after Patrick called to make sure he was getting he was able to get the generic Pedialyte? Like, I need the voice. I need the timeline of the voice real bad. Real bad, okay? I need it. I don't think it was with malicious intent, but her lying led to her doing this because she wasn't being honest about, and so she could have been not being properly treated because you weren't telling the truth. And like I said earlier, that would be blame to go around, because if you would have said the right things, if you would have accepted it, if you would have taken the medication, would you have been in a position to be on a path towards healing? Uh-oh, I missed a question. That wasn't supposed to be a question. Oh, when did the voices start? I didn't even read it as a question, so I guess we are synced right now. Anyone who's had any type of mental moment, could you stop and start your crazy train? I couldn't stop in between. Don't look at me for logic until the episode over. Listen, I can't. Is that Rumbisha? I think Rumbisha is gone. I heard some. Okay, yeah, I hear it. If you're ill mentally, are you thinking straight to think like what would we be thinking? That's the question. But we know an insanity defense, or as it's called in Massachusetts, not criminally responsible. That's what they're looking for. They're saying you can have all the mental issues you want. You can have a whole plethora of them. However, were you able to understand right from wrong? And everything could be one or the other for me right now. Somebody's got to prove it to me, because one of the issues for me is like, one person may say her attempt was not, I don't want to call it real or not real, because that woman coded. Maybe she didn't mean to, but she did. So it was a real attempt. But people could look at her attempt as, one, she was having that type of episode and really was just on her way out of here and she was going to take herself out. But someone else can say she snapped out of it, had oh my God, what the fuck did I do to my kids, and tried to go, and that was her moment of guilt. Like in that moment she could appreciate right and wrong, and somebody got to prove something to me, because otherwise I'm still in, both can exist at the same time, and it's still 50-50. That's what we asking, Naira. Like, what this mean? What you mean she don't want to accept it? But y'all know what? Who said that in testimony? Who was on the stand? Patrick. Patrick was on the stand. That was Patrick on the stand. Patrick was on the stand, and Patrick was asked, was he aware of her being on or having experience with medication while she was in nursing school? He said he wasn't aware of that. So we didn't get any further. Now I want to know, was she on medication in nursing school? Was she given a diagnosis back then? Hot damn, roll out the HIPAA form. She got to sign, because we need now. With 18 humans.
Get the witness on back on the stand.
Your Honor, first of all, I want to raise an issue with you, and I think it's
Why don't
really.
we
I don't want to go to the sidebar. I really don't want to go to the sidebar.
I need to know what you're going to talk about before.
I want to tell you that
they
got picked up on a hot mic saying, shut her up during the playing of that autopsy.
All right.
That was real.
I'm not doing that at all. I just want to find out what the issue is. There's a lot of privileged issues, and then you can tell me that, and then if
I thought I I heard something on the hot mic and I thought it was. Come on now, Reddington. Don't get us kicked out the damn courtroom. Who was hot mic in that? It was I ain't gonna say who. It was the DA's table. I heard it yesterday. Yesterday morning during Callan's the ME who did Callan's autopsy. I heard it. I thought it was somebody in the back because nobody budged. Nobody budged. Nobody said anything. But there were a lot of people that reached out and said, Miss J, that was the DA. A lot of people said, did you hear the DA? Did you hear the DA on that hot mic? And I was like, I'm not about to make it a big deal because somehow stuff like that goes. And then last time that happened, I'm not a lawyer, but ended up as Exhibit F in a motion. Okay, so I was trying to wait and see if Court TV or Law and Crime said it first, and I seen another content creator say it. Somebody just told Reddington. Just like a lot of content creators used to send stuff to my Dougie, my Fresh about hot miking and stuff like that with the DA. I thought it was the gallery too, Laura. I thought it because nobody moved. Nobody said anything. We might have to go find that. I might find it during lunch and then play it when we get back. But yeah, somebody said shut her up. Y'all know me. I will hold something so I can be second. Because please don't come after me first. Mm-mm. They're gonna say she said no. She said shut her up for real. But that's a good one. If you're gonna go try to fix it, say I said shut it off. That's a good one.
Was the witness? Yes. Yeah. I get sidetracked by that. All right, ready for the jury?
Can I take that? Judge?
Court, all rise. Jurors enter. This court's now in session. Please be seated.
Your Honor, for the purpose of the record, we return back to the trial of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties are present, including the defendant and including the 18 jurors.
The ME was the first witness of yesterday. One second, guys.
Doctor, you'd agree with me that your notes are contained in Exhibit 79, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that you had mentioned was that at the end of Lindsay's treatment at your hospital, she was discharged, ultimately, correct?
Yes.
And that was not against medical advice, was it?
No.
And finally, you had made reference to the fact that postpartum psychosis is a serious consideration for you when you or your staff when you're evaluating a patient in McLean, correct? For
Yes.
postpartum. And one of the recommendations that you made was that she should follow up with other healthcare providers. And if I understand correctly, she actually sent a text or an email or something and confirmed that she did within the hour, right?
She made an appointment with Dr. Tufts for the next morning.
Right, and she told you guys that, right?
She told the social worker that.
So she was very responsive to your advice about you should reach out to your provider, and she did that, right?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, counsel redirect?
Dr. Goodhart, you're familiar with the discharge paperwork that a patient gets, right?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 146. Is that familiar to you?
Yes.
And you know that to be discharge paperwork for, or what's called the after visit summary for Lindsay Clancy at her stay from McLean, correct?
Yes.
And in this discharge paperwork, there's actually two packets. So it's pages 1 of 6, and then there's another one, 1 of 7. You see that?
Yes.
And it gives instructions on if you need immediate help. It gives phone numbers, right?
Yes.
It gives a crisis plan and where to call for the suicide prevention lifeline, right?
Yes.
It gives instructions on what the patient's supposed to do or what you've talked about as far as what to do as follow-up, right?
Yes.
And in this instance, it says, what's next? Call Cassandra Wolfson. Give her a call for assistance with finding community behavioral health providers. And that's identified as the Blue Cross Blue Shield case manager, right?
Yes.
And was that based on a conversation that you had with Ms. Clancy about the fact that she wanted a new provider?
She had a psychiatrist or a prescriber. She stated that she was going to be assigned a therapist by the individuals at the South Shore. And if she wanted to have more options or more choices, she could always call that person to get more choices.
So she was looking for an additional provider?
Yeah.
Okay. And also part of this discharge packet, you see that there's a section that's labeled community services, right?
Yes.
And there are a number of online resources as well as a direction to contact your primary care physician and insurance company, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so these are resources that were discussed and told and available to her when she was discharged from the line.
Yes.
Now, in addition to the resources that were given at discharge, you're aware she did participate in particular groups that would have given her some information and skills while she was there, right?
Yes.
And those skills were about illness and symptom management, correct?
Yes.
Self-compassion was another one, right?
Yes.
I'm going to object. This is beyond the scope of cross, which is, I think, a legitimate objection. So,
All right, sustained.
It's really not, because he talked about whether or not she got resources, and she's saying that there were
Counsel,
other places she got
on
resources. not just
Cross-examination
the-
kept referring
the
to
discharge.
this, the unit at McLean as the locked unit, right? You
Yes.
remember that line of questioning? And fair to say, it is locked for the safety of the patients, right?
Yes.
And in this circumstance with Ms. Clancy, when she arrived from Mass General via ambulance, she voluntarily agreed to be at this locked facility until it was safe for her to leave.
Yes.
Now, when she came in, she was identified, I think you said, as low risk
Yes.
and at the lowest level of checks, correct?
Yes.
And she was very vocal with you about how long she wanted to stay and when she wanted to leave.
Yes.
And you respected that and you worked with her to come up with a plan, correct?
Yes.
And when counsel says she wasn't discharged against medical advice, would you have preferred more time with this patient to assess her symptomology?
Overall.
She said she would have.
I think you're asking me to go back and do.
Well, at the time, let's talk about the time that you had the conversation with her about leaving
Yes.
early.
Yes.
You said her original plan was to stay till at least Friday, right?
I think I didn't have a set time on when she would leave. I take it a day at a time based on how the patient is doing.
And at the time that she indicated that she wanted to bump up her discharge to Thursday,
Yes.
had you had the opportunity to observe her symptoms for more than a day or two?
Yes.
Had you been able to identify if any of the issues that she came in with were resolved?
Yes.
And so she was sleeping better, right?
Yes.
Was there any indication that her mood had vastly improved?
Her mood had improved. I don't know what you mean by vastly.
Well, did you have enough time to get to the root causes of why she was having the insomnia or why she was feeling numb?
No.
Okay, and so with more time, would that have been something that you could have explored more at least?
Yes.
And you were asked on cross-examination about asking Lindsay Clancy to sign releases, and you said that you did not do that in this case, correct?
Yes.
With more time with a particular patient, is it possible that you could have determined that you needed that more information and then asked her to sign releases?
Sustained.
Well, as far as your protocol for asking for releases, is it something that you do with every patient?
No.
What are the circumstances that would lead you to ask for releases to be signed?
No, overall,
It depends on how the patient is presenting, whether they appear reliable, whether their history that they're giving is consistent across different times when they were evaluated. For example, she was evaluated in the emergency department, in the CEC, then on the unit by Dr. Madwa and myself. And also we had obtained collateral information from Patrick. And so I didn't feel like there was any urgent need to obtain the collateral from the other providers. And she was telling us what she liked and what she disliked about what the providers were doing.
Okay, and so you were responding to those conversations in
Yes.
coming up with a plan.
Yes.
And again, the team is not just you and your team, but also the patient as well.
Yes.
And during this time period that she was there, in addition to what she was reporting, you were also making observations of her.
Absolutely.
And was there anything inconsistent about what she was reporting to what your observations of her were?
No.
When she arrived at McLean, you were advised of what medication she had been on, correct?
Yes.
And any of the treatment plans that you or any of your colleagues recommended, did they require different medications?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, you were asked about the blood work.
Yes.
And so you indicated that
shit,
McLean
Monisha
does
suck.
draw blood upon admission, right?
Yes.
But that you did not look at the blood work or ask or evaluate it for levels of medications.
Correct.
Was there any reason to do that based on the medication regimen that you were advised that she had been on?
No.
And with your treatment plan as far as medication, would there have been a reason to do that to either verify or not verify that she already had things in her system?
No.
You were asked on cross-examination about the defendant reporting that she complained of brain fog or being foggy. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you also recall that she was observed by nurses to have improved memory and improved concentration, over the time that she had been at McLean?
Yes.
You were asked on cross-examination about suicide hotline. And
Yes.
are you familiar with suicide hotlines?
Yes.
And what do they assess for when you call one?
Imminent, like risk. And if somebody's calling and they're feeling suicidal, I think the point is for them to send somebody or to help them through it.
So it's a point of intervention, correct? But in order for a person to receive intervention, they have to identify that they have an intent or a plan.
Yes.
And to your knowledge, based on your experience and your conversations with this particular patient, did she ever indicate that she ever said she had a plan?
No.
There it is.
You were asked some questions about the DSM-5, and I actually have a big version of the most recent version, the DSM-5 TR, meaning text revision. You're familiar with this book?
Thank you for clarifying that. Yes.
And counsel asked you some questions about postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis and whether they appear here in the DSM-5.
Yes.
Recall that line of questioning? And fair to say they do appear. They're not their own category, correct?
Yes.
But they do appear in conversation of bipolar disorder 1, having major depressive symptoms or episodes, as well as psychosis.
Yes.
And it's very brief mention, but it's in here. Is that correct?
Yes.
And as a psychiatrist, this is just a tool that you could use.
Yes.
What other things do you rely upon when making a diagnosis other than a tool like this?
Observation of the patient, the history that they're relating, the information from family, and other, that's essentially it, and other records if available.
Okay, and you use that information based on your own training and experience
Not
to
having
come up with a
Yeah,
diagnosis.
she snapped.
And your diagnosis, does that have to agree with anyone else?
No.
And when you're treating a patient that comes before you for help at McLean, you're treating the patient in front of you, or you're treating the patient from several months ago?
You take the history into consideration, but you're treating the patient in front of you because that's the presentation.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Reddington?
No, thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
All right,
Thank you.
Doctor.
Thank you.
That was a good thing to point out. I still think you need the history, but what do I know? I think both would have helped her, the person from months ago and the person sitting in front of you, but hell, here's what it is. Hindsight 2020 the motherfucker right now. Kids gone. And everybody might have played a part in that. Damn, babies is gone. Damn. Damn. Hold on.
afternoon. You start right here and raise your right hand to the clerk, please.
Good afternoon. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury and no harm between the Commonwealth and the defendant shall be the truth?
Dominique, listen, that hotline.
Thank you, ma'am. You may have a seat.
We're dealing with a family member with that right now.
All right, good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon.
I'd ask you to keep your voice up and speak into that microphone, all right?
Okay.
Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Jennifer Tufts, Jenn.
Oh, Heifer, we've been waiting on your ass.
Yes.
Your date of birth.
December 31st, 1989.
Where do you work?
Astor Mental Health
And how long have you worked there?
for 3.5 years.
What is your role there?
I'm a psychiatrist.
And how long have you been a psychiatrist?
I've been officially fully licensed psychiatrist for close to 4 years.
I want to ask you if you could just explain to us your educational background and your training background that qualifies you to be a psychiatrist.
Absolutely.
Hot
So
damn.
I went to medical
Oh, let me get
school
myself
at the University
together.
of Vermont, graduated in 2018 with an MD. I did a postgraduate training in psychiatry at Boston Medical Center. That was 4 years, going into 2022. And then I began working at Astor Mental Health in 2022.
And are you a licensed psychiatrist in Massachusetts?
Yes.
While you were working at Astor Mental Health, did you have a patient named Lindsay Clancy?
Yes.
And at this time, Your Honor, I'd move to submit the records of Lindsay Clancy for Astor Mental Health as an exhibit.
They may be admitted.
Do you recall when you first saw Lindsay Clancy as a patient?
Yes.
When was that?
It was in September of 2022.
And was that first appointment on September 15th, 2022?
I believe that it was.
And prior to a patient coming in for their first appointment, is there paperwork that they fill out either online or that's provided to them to fill out?
Yes.
And what type of paperwork is that?
It's fairly extensive. It includes past health history, past psychiatric history, medications they have taken in the past. It includes names of any therapists or other doctors they work with, usually primary care. It includes any report of substances that they may use or may have used in the past. It includes a number of scales, so scales assessing things like anxiety, depression, ADHD. So it's a fairly lengthy document.
Are you aware that Lindsay Clancy filled out those documents on September 12th, 2022, 3 days prior to her first appointment?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to review what Lindsay filled out prior to meeting with her for that first appointment?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall what you learned from those documents about her prior mental health treatment?
Yes.
What was that?
That she had previously taken some medication. I believe it was in nursing school. It may have been fairly brief, but she had tried the medication Prozac.
Do you recall that she also listed that she had tried Wellbutrin as well while she was on the Prozac?
That was listed as well.
Okay. And do you recall that when she listed that she took the Prozac and the Wellbutrin while in nursing school, she listed that she had no side effects from those medications?
That is correct.
Prozac, is that an SSRI?
Yes.
So Lindsay reported that she had previously taken an SSRI while in nursing school with no side effects, correct?
Correct.
Did she also report that she had no history of any kind of abuse that had occurred to her at any point in her life?
Correct.
What did she report in regards to alcohol consumption?
I believe she reported 1 to 2 drinks at a time and possibly up to 5 times a week.
And
God
is
damn.
there a portion when the patient fills that in, how much they drink? Is there a question there about whether they feel guilty about that?
Yes.
And what was her response?
Am I allowed to go check that just to make sure?
Is there an objection to her reviewing the records?
Okay.
You can't drink on your meds?
She indicated yes.
And so in that section,
Oh,
is it correct that she
Lindsay.
listed that she was drinking 5 times per week and feeling guilty at that time about it?
Yes.
And did she list her height as 5'6" in those documents? I believe on the same page, page 20.
Yes.
Now, did those that initial survey or questionnaire that she filled out get into what symptoms she was experiencing at the time?
Yes.
And what symptoms did she report experiencing at that time?
Spirits, aka liquor. Those are called spirits for a reason. That's who you heard. Hennessy.
Anxiety attacks,
Oh,
decreased
Lindsay, you done pissed
appetite,
me off.
depressed mood, easily distracted, excessive worry, guilt, unable to feel pleasure, unable to fall asleep, and racing thoughts.
And would it be fair to say that there's a checklist of symptoms and the patient checks off which ones they're experiencing, correct?
Yes.
And so on that list, engage in risky behaviors, that was not checked off, correct?
Correct.
And excessive energy wasn't checked off, correct?
Correct.
Feelings of hopelessness, feelings of abandonment, feelings of emptiness, none of those were checked off, correct?
Correct.
Impulsive behavior, that was not checked off, correct?
Correct.
Now, was there also a suicide risk assessment form that Ms. Clancy filled out?
Yes.
And what is a suicide risk assessment?
Well, it assesses various factors that may increase a person's risk of committing suicide.
And the form that Ms. Clancy filled out,
Terry,
the
one to
first
two
question is, have
drinks
you been
5
so
times a week,
distressed you
you were
seriously
drinking
wish to end your
Listerine
life?
if
And
you
her
can get a
response
hands
was
on
no,
it.
correct?
Shit, that's a
I'm
lot.
just looking.
Page
God
23.
damn.
Correct.
And the second question is, has anything happened recently to make you feel you don't want to live? And her answer was no, correct?
Correct.
There's question 3, a specific plan. Do you have a specific plan of how you would kill yourself? And her answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Fourth question is access to weapons or means of hurting yourself. And the answer is no, correct?
Correct.
The fifth question is made a serious suicide attempt. And the answer was no, correct?
Correct.
The sixth question, purposely done something to hurt yourself. Again, no, correct?
Correct.
Seventh question, heard voices telling you to hurt yourself. Her answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Number 9, having thoughts of killing or seriously hurting someone else. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Number 10, heard voices telling you to hurt others. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Hurt someone or destroyed property on purpose. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
In fact, the answers to every question on this suicide checklist was no, correct?
Just say that.
Correct.
Did you, was there also a substance use assessment form that was filled out on page 24?
Yes.
And there were no issues with substance use,
Oh,
correct?
if you tell me you're going to do
Correct.
something to yourself, that is the plan.
Did you,
Yeah, that's
is there
fine
also
with
an
me.
ADHD self-report scale that's filled out?
There usually is.
Direct you to page 25.
Patrick ain't saying nothing about no damn drinking.
Okay.
And ADHD, is that attention deficit hyperactive disorder?
Yes.
And given the answers that Ms. Clancy gave on that self-reporting form, were there any concerns about attention deficit hyperactive disorder?
Not significantly.
Were there any concerns at all?
Well, she reported often to some of the questions. Yes.
And is that significant to you based on your training and experience?
You have to look at this form within the entire picture of the patient. So no, I didn't suspect that Lindsay had ADHD.
So these forms are a tool, and you use them together along with your observations of the patient to come to conclusions. Is that correct?
Yes.
No wonder
There
she
was
wasn't getting
also
no sleep.
I believe it's entitled a GAD screening. Is that generalized anxiety disorder?
Yes.
Okay, and did Ms. Clancy fill that out as well? Page 27.
Sorry, my pages are a little bit different than yours.
Oh, I apologize.
I'll find it. Okay.
Ms. Clancy's answers to these questions, did they give you cause for concern based on your training and experience?
They were highly suggestive of anxiety and an anxiety disorder.
And for example, number 1, feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge, she responded nearly every day, correct?
Correct.
Not being able to stop or control worrying, she answered nearly every day, correct?
Yes.
And so several of these questions were either nearly every day or several days, correct?
Yes.
I apologize. Can I just ask what page that is?
27, I'm sorry. And then is there also a patient questionnaire that the patient fills out? I think it's
yes, I believe so. Yes.
And what is the purpose of this patient questionnaire?
I'm not sure exactly which one you're referring to. It might be the one that asks about things like whether the symptoms affect their daily living, what their history is. Is that what you're looking at?
It's entitled
I want to talk
Tools-PHQ-9
to
Patient
Sam,
questionnaire,
Um,
and the date is
And
9/12.
Callan,
Sure.
are you able to? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So this form that's entitled PHQ-9 Patient Questionnaire, what is the purpose of that form?
It's a screening tool for depression.
And can you talk about the defendant's answers to those questions and what they told you based on your training and experience?
Well, some of the answers were positive. So that really indicates that she should be assessed for depression. She might have it.
Okay. And when you say positive, what do you mean by positive?
So for example, she said for number 2, feeling down, depressed, and hopeless more than half of the days, a positive response means indicating yes.
So it's not a positive, happy response. It's a positive, this might be an issue response.
Yes.
And on the next form, A1, initial diagnostic assessment. Yes. There is a place there, again, well, this is for September 15th, the day you actually met her, correct?
Yes.
So the patient fills out the forms in advance of meeting with you. Do they then again fill out the forms when they meet with you?
No, these are the same forms.
Same forms, just the different date on them.
Yes. Because they're included in the intake note, which is what I write, but some of the information is from the patient's self-report.
So would it be a combination of the forms they fill out and then what you observe and ask about during your initial meeting?
Yes.
And that initial meeting with Ms. Clancy, was that in person or was that a telehealth?
Telehealth.
Okay. Does who controls whether it's an in-person meeting or a telehealth? You or the patient?
Both.
The patient told you, I don't want to do telehealth, I only want to do in person. Is that an option?
Yes.
Thank you, Bill.
Good.
Sorry.
I'll let that stand.
And can you just tell us when you met with Ms. Clancy on that first day, did you ask her questions such as, do you have suicidal intent?
Yes.
What was her response?
That she did not.
Did you ask her if she had homicidal intent?
Yes.
What was her response?
She did not.
Did you ask her if she was experiencing any auditory hallucinations or visual hallucinations?
Yes.
What was her response?
She did not.
Did you ask her questions to determine if she was experiencing any symptoms of mania?
Yes.
What types of questions do you ask to determine that?
Well, a lot of it can be assessed without asking, but questions may look like, have you ever had a period of time in your life where you were excessively energetic and euphoric? I might leave it there and then follow up with some of the other symptoms.
Did any of the questions you asked Ms. Clancy related to mania or manic episodes, did any of her answers to those questions indicate that she had experienced mania or manic episodes?
No.
Now, in that first meeting, what's your exam process? Like, how do you start the meeting and how does it flow?
Sure. So I start the meeting by introducing myself, explaining what we're going to be doing for the day. Then I ask the patient why they're there. We talk about why they're there. I assess for different mood symptoms, anxiety symptoms, psychosis symptoms, mania symptoms, safety concerns. Then we start talking about the history. We start talking about the past psychiatric history, the past medical history, substance use. We start talking about other medicines that they have tried in the past or may still be taking. And it's not always in that order, but that's the general order. Sometimes things come up sooner. And we talk a bit about what the patient's goals are, what they're looking for in this time period.
No alcohol.
And then I may give some of my recommendations.
And did you follow that process for that initial meeting with Lindsay Clancy?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that you part of the initial evaluation is looking for signs of psychosis. Is that correct?
Yes.
What types of things are you looking for to see if someone's experiencing psychosis?
So there are a number of things. They start with how the patient appears. So some signs of psychosis might be that they appear disheveled. I assess what their attitude is, if they might be agitated or very uncooperative. That's a red flag. I will assess what their speech is like. Is it very loud? Is it very fast? Or sometimes it could be the opposite, where they're not really even speaking at all. I assess what their mood is like.
Nicole, I was wondering if somebody was going to say that.
How they appear visually. I assess what their thoughts are like. So are their thoughts disorganized, where it's really hard to understand? They're jumping around and you can't follow their line of thought. I assess what the thought content is. If it's particularly about anything very bizarre or very paranoid, that would be potentially indicative of psychosis.
And you conducted that type of evaluation on Lindsay Clancy in that first meeting, is that correct?
Yes, that assessment is done with every patient.
And did you note any signs or symptoms of psychosis with Ms. Clancy that day?
No.
Do you also, in addition to the observations you're making of the patient that day, are you also asking questions about their past behavior and things that have happened to them in the past that might indicate whether psychosis is an issue?
Yes.
And what types of things are you asking them about their past?
Well, I may ask, have you ever heard voices? Have you ever seen something that other people didn't see?
And did you ask those questions of Ms. Clancy?
I believe I did.
And what was her response?
No.
She gonna be a tussle for
Do
Reddington.
you, and as part of this evaluation, are you making an assessment about the patient's judgment and insight?
Yes.
And when we talk about psychiatry, what are we talking about when we say judgment?
So judgment indicates their decision-making process, and whether it is a logical decision-making process or perhaps not.
And same question in terms of insight. What does that mean in psychiatry when you're assessing their insight?
So that's more about a patient's awareness, both of their inner feelings as well as mental health a bit more broadly.
And in terms of orientation, when you're assessing a patient, what does that mean?
Orientation is awareness of where someone is, who someone is, what day it is, what's going on.
And based on your evaluation of Lindsay Clancy that first day, September 15, 2022, did she appear to have any issues with judgment, insight, or orientation?
No.
Reddington and the judge have, Sharonda.
Do you also assess the patient's memory?
Yes.
And how do you do that?
Well, it depends. Often, unless there is a specific concern about memory or dementia, it's based off of my conversation with them. Are they able to recall medications that they have taken? Are they able to recall, things that they have done with a lot of detail and specificity?
And did there appear to be any issues with Lindsay Clancy's memory in your evaluation of her?
No.
And what about attention and concentration? What are you looking for as a psychiatrist when evaluating attention and concentration?
I'm looking for whether they're paying attention to the conversation, if they can follow it, or maybe if they get distracted, it seems like they're not listening, something like that.
Did
He's
Lindsay
getting ready to
Clancy
be a
appear to have any
tussle
issues
for
with attention
Reddington.
or concentration?
No.
There was something in the records called fund of knowledge. What does that mean?
Basis of knowledge, what someone understands about the world. So maybe if somebody has
I wish I had
a
some
very
thought
low
for her.
education, they might have a low fund of knowledge.
And was there any issue with Lindsay Clancy's fund of knowledge?
No.
Are you also assessing mood?
Yes.
And how do you assess the mood of a patient, and why do you assess it?
Well, it's very important. The mood is based on what the patient says, what they say about how they're feeling.
Okay. And so are there circumstances where a patient might say they're feeling happy, but you make observations that they appear depressed?
Yes.
Okay. And so when we see mood in the records, that refers to how the patient is reporting their mood is?
Yes.
So if it says appropriate mood and affect, or actually if it says patient description of their emotional state, it says okay, does that mean the patient said okay?
Yes.
Is there a place in the record where you describe what your observations of the mood are?
That's the affect.
Affect, okay. And so affect is how the patient presents?
Yes.
This first meeting with Lindsay, what was her mood?
It was okay.
And what was her affect?
Anxious.
So she was reporting to you, she felt okay. You were seeing she looked a little anxious.
Yes.
How do you or what is it about a person that tells you they look anxious? Like, what were you seeing with Lindsay Clancy that told you she looked anxious?
It's hard to recall exactly what she seemed like. Sometimes, a person might look anxious.
Sometimes, Rhonda.
All right, sustain.
In your general observations of patients, what things would you look for in a patient to determine whether their affect is anxious?
Is their voice quivering? Are they shaking a little bit? Do they appear very nervous?
And what is psychomotor behavior?
So psychomotor behavior refers to someone's body and their movements. So sometimes that can be abnormal.
Okay. And did you notice anything abnormal about Lindsay Clancy's psychomotor behavior?
No.
This first meeting, was that approximately 40 minutes?
It was a little bit longer than that, maybe 50 to 60 minutes.
Is that typical for that first meeting where you're doing this initial assessment?
Yes.
And did she appear alone in that virtual? And what are treatment modality and interventions in general?
So that section is referring to therapy treatment modalities. It's not asking about medications. So different forms of therapy that might be done in the session.
And what would be treatment goals?
Goals that we are working on or will plan to work on, since this is only the first visit.
So how do you determine for an individual patient the treatment modality or interventions that are needed?
It depends on the patient.
So basically on what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and the history they provide?
Yes.
And how do you determine treatment goals?
So a lot of that is driven by what the patient's goals are.
And you mentioned earlier that as part of your evaluation, you asked the patient why they've come to you, what they're concerned about. Do you recall Lindsay's response to that question, why she was there, what she was concerned about?
I believe her biggest concern was about anxiety.
And what was the treatment modality or interventions that you determined would be needed for Lindsay Clancy based on this initial evaluation?
So I recommended a medication sertraline as well as individual therapy.
And the medication sertraline, is that Zoloft?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say you recommended that the Zoloft to her, was that you telling her you have to take this medication, or did you have a discussion about it?
A discussion.
And during that discussion, did you get the patient, Ms. Clancy's, input on whether she wanted to take the medication or what her thoughts were about the medication?
Yes.
And do you recall the details of that conversation with her?
I recall that she was generally reluctant to take medications, but at this point she was considering it and was interested in learning about what medications might be helpful for her.
And as part of that discussion, did you explain what the medication was and the side effects and all of that?
Yes.
And did she have any questions for you based on your explanation of what the medication was for and what the side effects could be?
I'm not sure.
And why did you recommend that particular medication?
So it's a first-line medication used for treating anxiety disorders. It also is a first-line treatment when women are breastfeeding. It's the safest SSRI for babies.
And when you say a first-line medication, what does that mean?
It just means it's one of the medications that is recommended first. Sometimes you have to try a number of different medications, but that is often a first choice.
And is that based on studies and the experience of the psychiatric profession?
Yes.
What was the dosage that you recommended or prescribed for her for the Zoloft?
25 milligrams.
And were there instructions on
I saw
the
you the first time,
prescription
Cherie. I'm
in
sorry.
terms
I
of,
don't know how many times,
how many
but
milligrams to take the first
we
week? And then
started
how
with
many to
her,
take the
went to
second
somebody
week?
else, and eventually went
Yes,
back
it
to
was 25 milligrams for 1 week and then increasing to 50 milligrams.
And that was your initial prescription and what should have been on the pill bottle, correct?
Yes.
Was there ever a call from the defendant where she called you and said that she was having trouble with the 25 milligrams and you recommended her go to the 50 milligrams?
No.
You said you also recommended therapy, is that correct?
Yes.
And Astra Mental Health, did they have therapists on staff that you referred Ms. Clancy to?
Yes.
And do you know if she took advantage of that resource?
She did.
Do you know which therapist she saw?
Yes.
Who was that?
Jennifer McAllister.
And how does it work when a patient is at Astra Mental Health, they're being seen by a psychiatrist, they're being seen by a therapist? Is there someone that's kind of in charge of the treatment of the patient that oversees everything, or is it all just individual?
The psychiatrist is in charge.
Okay, so you would have been in charge of Ms. Clancy's treatment?
Yes.
And as part of being in charge of her treatment, would you review the records from her therapy sessions to inform and guide your treatment of her?
Yes.
What were the treatment goals for the defendant?
I don't recall exactly what her words were.
Would the goals be what your patient tells you?
Yes.
I'm going to approach and just ask that you look at page 41 of the records for Exhibit 219 to the treatment goals section. Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
And what were the treatment goals according to Ms. Clancy?
So these are not her words. There's a list in the electronic medical record where I can indicate which ones might apply, or I can type out my own. So the treatment goals based on what we had decided on together were symptom reduction and improved functioning.
And you said that Ms. Clancy had been a little reluctant about starting medication. Did she tell you why she was reluctant?
Yes.
And why was that?
She was worried about having side effects.
And did she mention which specific side effects or just side effects in general?
I thought it was in general.
And as a result of that concern, is that when you went over the potential side effects of Zoloft?
Yes.
And after having that discussion and you explaining the side effects of Zoloft, how did the two of you leave it in terms of whether she was going to take the medication or not?
I told her what my recommendation was, that she should start the sertraline. I'm not sure if she told me definitively if she was going to take it or not. She might have needed some time to think about it.
And based on your evaluation with Ms. Clancy, everything you learned about her history and how she presented that day, did you have an initial diagnosis?
Yes.
And what was that?
It was a generalized anxiety disorder, and it was an adjustment disorder with depressed mood.
What is generalized anxiety disorder?
It's an anxiety disorder where an individual may have a lot of different worries. They may also have physical feelings of anxiety, but they're worried about a lot of things, not really just one thing specifically.
And what is adjustment disorder with depressed mood?
So adjustment disorder refers to the fact that there may be symptoms, but they are kind of secondary to the situation. So they don't meet the full criteria, say, of a major depressive disorder, but there were some symptoms of depression.
Is this a good place
Yes.
to start? All right. Members of the jury, this is, it's 1 o'clock. We're going to take the afternoon recess. I'm going to ask you to be ready to come back at 2 o'clock. And again, same instructions and orders. Don't, during the break, don't read anything about this case.
We live in America. Come on, Keisha. We all got generalized anxiety.
Just kind of
Baby.
relax as best you can for the next hour. We'll have to bring it back in. We'll continue with the evidence this afternoon.
Court, all rise. Jurors, closing all books, face on the chairs. This way, please.
Well, this was just her initial meeting. So this is just the first time she saw Dr. Tufts. So we're going to, but I feel like Dr. Tufts and Reddington gonna squabble.
All right, Doctor, give me steps.
And the first clash is getting ready to be about
Before we recess, I
age.
just want to make I guess a comment. I just want to make it real clear that there is to be no inappropriate comments or disruptive comments to be made inside of this courtroom. If anybody is found to make those, they will be immediately escorted out and barred for the balance of this. All right, just want to make that real clear. And just in case you're wondering, there are microphones all around. And so if I get a report of that, there's going to be some serious issues and serious problems. I just kind of wanted to put that out for everybody so it's crystal clear. There's going to be no warnings, no yellow cards. You're out. All right. So I just kind of want to make that real clear. And so with that, we'll be in recess on this matter till 2 o'clock.
Maybe it was the gallery.
Court, all rise.
Maybe the state is maybe prosecution said not me. Maybe it was the gallery.
Stands in recess. Please exit the court. Thank you.
We talking about that comment from yesterday. Remember, I said I thought it came from the gallery, and then people start saying that was the prosecution. I was like, oh shit, I'm not saying nothing because I'm not about to have the prosecution mad at me. I'm not about to be Exhibit F. All right, guys, we are on lunch and we have exactly 1 damn hour. So I will see everybody at 2 o'clock. I'll get the next stream up. Everybody go woosah, touch some grass, because this content is still a whole lot to absorb. There's a lot that we absorbed today that was heavy. It just had some interjections of tussles between two grumpy old men and a little bit of liquor. Okay, so we're not going to forget outside of that we did absorb a lot today. I didn't give me a special treat for today, so I think I'm going to enjoy some more of my cookies. But everybody go find something to enjoy, protect your peace, consume something to help you through this. And I will see you guys. Yeah, they made I'm Not a Lawyer, but Exhibit F, and I ain't going to never forget that, Sharonda. But I'll see everybody back at 2 p.m. Eastern.